Notice of this meeting has been publicly posted. All boards and commissions under the purview of the City Planning Department conducts its meetings according to Robert's Rules of Order. Actions during the meeting will be taken by voice of vote. Abstentions from any vote due to a conflict of interest should be stated for the record prior to the taking of any vote. In order to ensure that everyone participating in the meeting have the opportunity to be heard, we ask that you use the raise hand feature before asking a question or making a comment. The raise hand feature can be found in the participants panel on the desktop and mobile version and activated by clicking the hand icon. Please wait for the chair or facilitator to recognize you and be sure to select unmute and announce yourself before you speak. When finished speaking, please lower your hand by clicking on the raise hand icon again and mute your microphone. We will also be utilizing the chat feature to communicate with participants. The chat feature can be activated by clicking the chat button located on the bottom of the WebEx screen. Please note that call-in users can unmute by using *6. All meeting activity is being recorded via the WebEx platform. These proceedings are also being live streamed via YouTube for public view. We provided a link to the meeting for those who wish to speak on a particular case via our website and email. All requests to speak on a particular matter have been considered. We've also received emails from those who have provided written comment on a particular matter. Back to you, Madam Chair.
Great, thank you. Would you call the roll, please?
Or Ms. Wilson?
Present.
Ms. Brown?
Present.
Ms. Holzer?
Present.
Ms. Roca?
Present.
Ms. Bates?
I'm here.
Madam Chair, we have a full quorum. 5
Lovely.
members.
Okay, any postponements or other business first?
So make sure that Councilman Harrison is not online. I spoke with Councilman Harrison last week regarding his case at 14930 St. Clair Avenue.
Correct.
That's calendar number 24-027. 5 Point Centers LLC owner proposes to change use from office to mental health behavior center in the local retail business district. The councilman is requesting a postponement at this time. He has requested more than or approximately 60 days. Can we just confirm or determine if the appellant is with us? Hello. Have you spoken with the councilman?
I did not personally, but someone from the group did, yes.
Okay.
I spoke with someone from his office last Friday.
Okay, so you're aware of the
Yes,
postponement.
we just gave it.
So May 6th is the new date. So Madam Chair, testimony will not be taken on that this morning. If anyone who has logged into this case received a paper copy of the notice, additional, or that will go out again 10 days before the next hearing on May 6th. And Madam Chair, that is all that we have for postponements and withdrawals.
Do you need the name of the appellant?
It's an LLC, so
Okay,
yeah, he's representing the LLC.
okay, great. Anything else?
No, that's it.
That's it, okay. Mr. Bennett, any other council people at this point?
I do not see any council people on.
Okay, Ms. Holzer will begin at the top of the agenda then with calendar number 24-023, please.
Sounds good. Thank you. Good morning, everybody. Our first case is calendar number 24-023. This is at 2169 Columbus Road. Eric Kennedy proposes to erect a 550 square foot addition to an existing residence and change use to a restaurant in a G2 limited retail business district and an urban form overlay district. The owner appeals for relief from the strict application of the Cleveland Codified Ordinances as stated in the agenda and the public record, of which there is one. And with that, I will hand it over to Ms. Wilson for the oath.
Thank you, Ms. Holzer. Is there anyone in the room who wishes to speak in this matter? Okay, we'll have you come up to the table, please.
Thank you.
I'm going to say your name.
Yeah, I'm Eric Kennedy, the owner of the property, but Justin Davies, the architect, I believe is on Zoom. So
Okay,
I have some things that aren't related to the architectural and he can handle the architectural.
okay.
We'll
that's
swear you
good.
in first and then we do online, okay? Go
So
ahead,
do you
Ms.
swear
Wilson.
or affirm that the testimony you are about to give is the whole truth and nothing but the truth? You have your right hand raised. Please state, I do, your name and your address.
I do, Eric Kennedy. My home address is 2043 Random Road, Cleveland. The property is on Columbus.
Okay, thank you. And I will turn to those of you who are online who wish to speak in this matter. Do we have anyone online?
Yes, Justin Davies, with Paskovich and Associates Architects.
Okay, and do you swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give is the whole truth and nothing but the truth? Please raise your hand, reply with I do, your name and your address.
I do. My address is 1708 Euclid Ave, Cleveland, Ohio, 44115.
You're good, thank you so much. Is there anyone else online who wishes to speak in this matter? We're nothing, back to you, Madam Chair.
Great, thank you. History of the property, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This property was originally zoned general retail in 1929. In 2018, it was placed in the limited retail business district as well as the urban form overlay. Madam Chair, in our records administration office, we found that in 1930, the one-story garage was erected on this address. But the most pertinent information, Madam Chair, is in calendar number 23-060. This board granted a variance to this address and the same owner on May 1st, 2023. This is a repeat, Madam Chair, the description is identical.
Okay.
The appellants just was allowed the variance to expire, so the variance rights have expired. If you would like, I'd read some testimony that was given at that time.
Sure, you want to bring us up to speed?
The zoning administrator at that time, Richard Riccardi, corrected the record by stating that only 6 parking spaces are required for the urban form overlay calculations. Mr. Kennedy stated that the hours of operation will be 7:30 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. As they would only serve breakfast and lunch. It was stated that the use would fit in with the character and walkability of the district. Donna Gregonis, a representative of Development Corporation, stated that the appellant brought the project to the committee for review and the community is excited for the new business. Ms. Gregonis stated that there are ample transit options in the immediate vicinity, but parking is only a problem after 4 p.m. And there were no conditions placed on that variance, Madam Chair. And again, the effective date is May 1st, 2023.
Okay, so we're just looking to renew that.
Sure, that's my understanding, unless the appellant have other
Okay,
comments.
all right.
Yes.
To you, sir.
Yes, I just want to be clear, things have changed since then, in the sense of the hours of operation. Since then, we've been through, it's taken us so long, a variety of, details with the construction. We've gotten some preliminary numbers for the construction project. The restaurant owner, myself as the owner of the property, given the cost of the construction, the plan would be to be open for dinner, not just breakfast. Probably a breakfast, lunch, and then a dinner. So I just wanted to be clear with everybody that given the cost of construction, that is the current plan.
And so how late do you intend to be open now?
The folks that are going to be opening there is the people that own Soho and West 25th. It would be consistent with what they do there. I think their kitchen there is closed at 9 and most people are gone by 9:30ish. But that would be the options. The economics on breakfast only, given the cost of construction, which I'm sure you're all well aware of. It's a bit of a surprise to me. Just nothing works without them being able to be open for dinner.
So if we say 10 p.m., that would give them enough time to be vacated from the building?
That's pretty much what Soho is, yes.
Okay. Okay, is that all the changes?
Yes.
All right, does your architect have anything to add?
No, I think that the overall design and the approach from the original zoning approval has really not changed in scope. So it's really the request to stay open a little later to make it feasible financially.
Okay, right. Mr. Bang, who do we have from legal? Oh, Mary's here. Sorry, I didn't see you sneak in. You want to go ahead and read the legal standard?
Sure, Madam Chair, members of the Board of Commons is requesting an area variance from the parking requirements and zoning code to obtain the area variance. The public must approve it tonight, would cause great practical difficulty township and shared value land or buildings in the same district. We deprive the owner of substantial property rights, and the granting variance will not be contrary to the purpose and intent of the zoning code.
Great, thank you. City planning, do you have anything you'd like to add?
Hello, my name is Xavier Day. As we recently recommended approval for this the same project before, this is within the TDM zone, so March 15th moving forward, parking minimums will be swept out with a menu of items to support local transit, things of that nature, bringing more walkability to the neighborhood. So we would recommend approval.
What's the date for that again?
March 15th.
Great, thanks. Just wanted to make people aware of that, so that
Yes.
will help you out. All right, any questions or comments from the board?
Well, Madam Chair, I do have a question.
Yes.
If the change in zoning happens on March 15th, obviously it's inclined to support the project, but are there not conditions that the owner and the owner would have to comply with, and what would those be?
Shannon Leonard, Chief City Planner, Interim Chief Planning Administrator. So the Transit Development Management Program, the legislation in Chapter 301 takes effect March 15th, with the caveat that those that fall within that TDM zone, which is a quarter-mile radius or distance from a high-frequency transit stop, would be required to work with our active transportation planners to come up with a selection of items from the menu to reach a point. It's a point system, and some of those things include providing basically subsidizing RTA transit passes, providing daycare on site. Things like this is like a small restaurant business. Obviously, they wouldn't be providing those types of things, but maybe adding bike racks, things that we already require, but we're just kind of codifying.
Do we need to put the bike rack as a condition?
Not right now, because the application came in prior to this occurring.
Okay,
And so we have to adjudicate based on the application, but they should have, it depends on how much parking they have. This looks like a very small scale restaurant, so they probably don't have 20 parking spaces.
No, that's what the variance is here.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Right.
So I mean, if you want to add that.
We don't have any problem with a bike rack and
it's a standard addition
that's,
typically, so.
that's fine. We're gonna add one next door to the warehouse that's joins this property. So we can make room for two.
Okay, great.
You own the warehouse as well?
Yes, ma'am.
And is there parking there?
There is not. You folks granted us a variance several years ago. There's not parking. People do tend to park probably where they shouldn't. There's 2 spaces, but legally there is not parking.
Thank you.
And I believe you stated that Mr. Riccardi had corrected the previous variance to only requiring 6 parking places?
That's correct. Due to the urban form overlay.
Great, okay. All right, any other questions or comments?
They're providing none, so you're giving a variance for 6.
Correct, right. Okay, anything else, board? I'll entertain a motion then.
Madam Chair, based on the testimony that we've heard, I would move to grant calendar number 23-02.
Thank you, Ms. Wilson. Could I have a second, please?
Member Brown, I second.
Thank you, Ms. Brown.
Madam Chair, I just want to note that Ms. Gregonis had her hand up.
Oh, couldn't see it.
Okay. Ms. Gregonis, do you have a statement to make?
Hi, yes, good morning, Madam Chair and members of the board. I just wanted to state that this project has gone before the community and everyone's really excited about this, and they were aware of this meeting today as well. The Block Club was, and they fully support it. And any issues that they might have had, they've worked out with the developer. And we're looking forward to welcoming this new business into our highly walkable part of Tremont. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Good to see you. I don't believe you were sworn in, so Ms. Wilson will do that really quickly, sort of post statement, just to button things up.
Okay, do you swear or affirm that the testimony you have given is the truth and nothing but the truth? Please raise your right hand, reply with I do, your name and your address.
I do. Donna Gregonis, our office, Tremont West, is 2406 Professor Avenue. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we'll call the vote now, please.
Ms. Roca,
Yes.
Ms. Olzer,
Yes.
Ms. Brown,
Yes.
Ms. Wilson,
Yes.
Ms. Fake.
Yes.
Calendar number 24-023 is granted. Will be ratified next Monday. We'll send you a letter, but please feel free to contact our office on Wednesday of next week, and we'll give you further instructions.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Good
Yeah,
luck
thank
with the
you.
project.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Excuse me, Madam Chair, I see Councilman Starr has entered the meeting.
Councilman Starr is with us now. All right. Good morning, Councilman. I expect that you're here for calendar number 24-028. All right, Ms. Holzer, we'll move on to that one since we have Councilman Starr with us.
Sounds good. I'll just wait till it's up on the screen. Okay. Our next case is calendar number 24-028. This is at 4843 Wendell Avenue. Shelter the People Cleveland, owner, proposes to establish use as a church and overnight habitation in a B1 two-family residential district. The owner appeals for relief from the strict application of the Cleveland Codified Ordinances as stated in the agenda and the public record, of which there are 4. And with that, I will hand it over to Ms. Wilson for the oath.
Thank you, Ms. Holzer. Is there anyone in the room who wishes to speak on this matter? We'll have you come forward, please.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I wonder if we should get comments, or is the council person prepared to go forward this morning? Or is he going to request a postponement?
Let's make sure.
Maybe let's.
Councilman Starr, do you wish to move this case forward this morning, or do you need a postponement? We can't hear you. Are you on mute?
He's a Ravens fan, he doesn't know how to work the line.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, great. Do you wish for us to move forward on this case this morning, or do you want to postpone it?
I definitely would like to let it be known that I do not support this.
Councilman, I'm so sorry, but you're breaking
actual
up on
usage.
us. You're breaking up on us, Councilman?
Can you hear me?
No.
Excuse me, Madam Chair, you could try to type into the chat. So you
Right. City Planning is suggesting that you type into the chat since we're having technical issues with the microphone.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, Madam Chair, it seems that he wants to go forward and take testimony. It's not requesting a postponement.
Okay.
Due to the response in the chat stating that he does not support the variance.
Okay. All right, we're going to proceed with the case. So, Ms. Holzer, is there more comment from him? We can't really enter that until we get going. But
That's right, yeah.
yeah. Ms. Holzer, if you want to read into the record, calendar number 24-028, please.
Would you like me to read it again?
Okay. All right, we're good then. Legal standard? Pardon? Okay, all right. What's he saying now?
Whatever it is, it's
Yeah,
testimony,
it's
nobody's
testimony.
been sworn
All right,
in.
no, I
Yeah.
know, I just wanted to make sure. All right. All right, those folks that are here for this case, if you'll come forward, please.
A lot of people.
All right, I will swear in all who are present for this case. I'll start on this end, and then we'll go down the line. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you are going to give is the truth, nothing but the truth and the whole truth? Please raise your right hand, reply with I do, your name and your address.
I do, drink from it, it's 517 Delafield, Ohio.
Okay, I'm gonna have you say your name again and spell the last name for us, please.
Sharina Zayed, Zaye.
And I'm going to you next.
I do swear. My name is Stephanie Thomas. I'm the executive director and the owner of the building at 4843 Wendell Avenue.
Okay, thank you.
Cynthia Mazzoni Ikuda, I do, former Cleveland resident, currently at 450 St. Nicholas Avenue, 105C.
Okay, can you spell your name, please?
I can do the rest also.
Yes, please. Just
So Cynthia, standard spelling, C-Y-N-T-H-I-A, Mazzoni, M-C-O-I, last name Ikuda, I-K-U-T.
perfect. Thank you. All right, I'll move to you next.
My name is Melba Kalan Asor. I do, a resident ever since 4821 Wendell Avenue.
Okay, and how do you spell your last name?
COLON.
I do. My name is Victoria Wagner. I reside at 4717 Wester Avenue, Cleveland, Ohio.
Thank you.
I do. My name is Sandra Brooks, and I reside at 4827 West.
Okay, thank you.
I do. My name is Deborah Kukwa, last name K-A-W-A, 3093 Otakar Avenue.
Thank you.
I do. My name is Edward McDonald. I reside at 629 Euclid Avenue. And what else? Is that it? Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, okay.
All right, that is everyone. Is there anyone online who wishes to speak in this matter? Okay, Marilyn, I see your hand has raised. Go ahead and swear in for us, please.
It's okay. I do. Marilyn Moshinsky, Slavic Village Development, 5620 Broadway Avenue.
Perfect, thank you. Anyone else online wishing to speak in this matter? Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize you were here for this as well. Okay.
I do. Kenya Gray, Southeast Side.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Anyone else online? We just swear in council, but maybe we'll everyone else. So back to you.
We're trying to get.
Yeah.
Councilman,
He can type it in if
are
he
you
has to.
there? You want to swear in, Councilman?
Use sign language.
Our technology is messing up, I think.
Councilman, do you want to swear in?
Yes, Councilman Richard Saw, 601 Lakeside.
And do you swear or affirm that your testimony will be the whole truth?
Yes, it will.
Okay, very good. Thank you. All right, back to you, Madam Chair.
Great. Deborah, I'm sorry, could you spell your, or Sandra, could you spell your last name for me, please?
Fruits.
Great, thank you. All right. If you folks want to have a seat, you can.
And the applicant, if you'd like to come up to it, should probably be at the table.
Thank you.
Right,
I'm the owner and the architect.
okay,
Ready for history?
ready.
There's been no change in the zoning since 1929. In our Records Administration Office, we found that in 1902, a permit was issued to erect an addition to a church on site. 1907, another addition was erected on site. Church. 1957, a permit was issued to demolish a dwelling on site, as well as install laboratories on the first floor, or sorry, there were interior alterations to the laboratories on the first floor. 1976, a permit was issued to cover sides with aluminum siding. And then, Madam Chair, there are no variances on file and nothing of note in the more recent history.
Can I ask a follow-up? Can you say the date that the record for the construction of the church originally?
I do not have the original date of construction. I do have that in 1902. A permit was issued to erect an addition on site, on a church.
That makes sense. Thank
And
you.
then another one in 1907.
Got it. Thank you.
So would it be safe to assume the church was erected prior to 1902?
Yes.
Very old.
According to our records, it was, I believe, in the 50s, 1850s.
Okay. Legal standard, please.
Madam Chair, members of the board are always requesting a use variance and an area variance for the minimum distance requirements of zone code. To obtain use variance, appellant must prove that denying the request will result in an unnecessary hardship to the property, such that there will be no economic use of the property without a variance, will deprive the appellant of substantial property rights, and the granting variance will not be contrary to the purpose and intent of the zone. To obtain the area variance, appellant must prove that denying the request will create practical difficulty not generally shared by the land or buildings in the same district, will deprive the appellant of substantial property rights, and the granting variance will not be contrary to the purpose and intent of the zoning code. And then I added, unless the last non-conforming use was discontinued under section 35902B, this may be a substitution of a non-conforming use, which requires the board to find that such substitution is no more harmful or objectionable than any previous non-conforming use, floor or other space occupied, in volume of trade or production, the kind of goods sold or produced, in daily hours or other period of use, in the type or number of persons to occupy or the effect of the premises, or in any other characteristic of the use as compared to the previous use.
Right. Thank you. Okay, so you're going to be the spokesperson.
Yes.
Please try and focus your comment on the variances that are on the agenda.
Okay.
Okay, and tell us what you intend to do.
Okay. I will just go through the agenda items specifically.
Great.
337.03B. Churches are in fact a permitted use in a two-family residential district as outlined by 337.02F1. The existing church is not within 15 feet of any existing use on any land that is adjacent to it, which is actually on this diagram here. And if you go to the next one, I've zoomed in a bit. So there's the existing church footprint. Within 15 feet of the exterior of the church, there is no existing use besides my parking lot and City of Cleveland lots, vacant lots. For 33703A, there is nothing that prohibits the use of a church as an overnight, for overnight use or as a warming center. Additionally, the zoning reviewer mentioned the term boarding house, which is not a defined term in neither the City of Cleveland zoning code or the Ohio Revised Code. It can commonly be considered though, the dwelling units in the structure are specifically constructed, kept, used, maintained, advertised, and held out to the public to be a place where temporary residence is offered for pay to persons. The use of the space of this existing church overnight, the individuals that seek shelter here do not pay. Therefore, it isn't, sorry, I'm just like reading the letter I wrote back to you. I'm trying to make it more like of a conversation. Let me keep going. And then moving forward to section 359.02A. This space has been a church for almost 200 years. It will continue to be a religious use in that the primary function for the building is to house the Fellowship of Alcoholics Anonymous. That is our daily use of the space. The accessory use of the space in the winter, when it's very cold, will be to provide shelter to our neighbors and to the city of Cleveland as needed. If you look on this plan here, you can see the general layout. We've removed all of the pews to make more space for tables and chairs for AA and as needed for people to sleep on the floor. As you know, there is a substantial unsheltered homeless population, many of them shelter resistant. It's in over 200 people sleeping outside every night in the winter in Cleveland. As a church, the maximum occupancy of the space is 49 people. We did not go over that this winter. We have posted capacity and exit signs. We have smoke and fire detectors. We have fire extinguishers, and we have, most importantly, 2 overnight staff that are awake all night to keep an eye on the people staying there and the property itself. We're also within 20 feet of a fire hydrant, which is right across the street from the property. It might be like 30 feet. I didn't measure it. It's directly across the street from the property.
Is the building sprinkled?
It is not. It is ancient.
Okay, so
And it has vaulted ceilings. Like,
Can you show the other slides?
I would just like further want to state AA has been determined to be a religious use in at least 5 major court cases, including the Supreme Court of Tennessee. Furthermore, the church as a space, as an institution, is a space for the community. And one of the main tenets of Jesus Christ is that you shall love your neighbor as yourself. So when we got the space, we intended to do nothing but return it to the community and for the uses that the community might need.
How frequently are these AA meetings that you intend to have? Or are you using the building for that purpose at this point?
We are. There's currently 6 meetings planned for the building. I'm also in talks with Club 20. I probably shouldn't say this. I'm talking to somebody else that is a big AA community hall that's losing their lease. So they may move some of their groups in. It's going to be during the day, AA meetings, the resource center, Sharon Vaughn, she will be working out of there as her main office, as will I. And she provides like resume building, helping people in early sobriety get back on their feet. And in terms of my office and volunteer staff, we're working right now to build our organization from the ground up. So.
Excuse me. Are those, you've been using it as a warming center, overnight stay?
We
so
did.
far?
We opened on December 27th, and my partners that were operating the shelter, so they were basically managing the staff and the volunteers, they were not able to secure funding before March 3rd, so they actually relocated to a different location. I did not want them operating my space without funding because I was concerned about the staff.
And so give us an idea of ages, gender, the specific demographics of the folks that are in the building?
We're inclusive of all people, all genders. I don't believe that minors are allowed in, but we would not turn away a family in need on a cold night.
All right. Is that everything at this point?
Yeah, I think that's it. I just want to just reaffirm that it was a church. It's still a church building. We will be using it for a religious use, and that it's mostly AA. Housing our neighbors, supporting our neighbors is part of human culture. Finding sanctuary in religious spaces has been part of human culture for thousands of years. And as a church, we comply without sprinklers under 50 people.
All right, I'll take testimony from those who were sworn in. Ms. Zayed first. Excuse me, go ahead.
Can I clarify the statements from the zoning code and condition?
Sure, absolutely.
Items that she stated.
Ms. Leonard, go ahead, Ms. Leonard.
Thank you. Shannon Leonard, interim chief zoning administrator. So a boarding house is actually defined under 325.51 as a multiple dwelling class B. It's regarding transient uses of dwelling. Basically, a multiple dwelling occupied as a home transiently as the more or less temporary abode of individuals and families with or without meals, in which as a rule, the rooms are occupied singly and not just dwelling units. Those include things like lodge houses, rooming houses, boarding houses, furnished room houses, and so forth. So that's why it's defined as a boarding house. And those are also all first permitted in a multifamily residential district. It's number 3 states. And then in regards to the 15 feet, it's not the building to the adjacent house, it's the property to the adjacent lot. And so in that case, they are within 15 feet of a adjoining residence on a separate lot. And then as it relates to number 4, the non-conforming use, yes, the structure of the building is a church, but it has not been used as a church per se in more than 2 years and so forth. It is a non-conforming use. And when you change it to another non-conforming use, you
Can I ask a couple follow-up questions to those?
Just let me go to Ms. Leonard. So with regard to the 15 feet, it's the lots abut, so that's the 15 feet.
That's correct. So
Right.
Doesn't it say from the property and the properties? I was reading it seemed to me that the zoning implied that it was from the exterior of the actual building and not the lot line.
No, that's incorrect. It's from the property itself, and then you're within a 2-family residential district as is. So both lots or all 3 lots, or her 2 lots are in a 2-family district adjacent to the permitting.
Okay, so then I guess we would fall back into the fact that the church was existing and they were actually having services up until, they were having services up until October 16th, 2022 was their last service. And I'm happy to get an affidavit from the former church owner.
It's still a non-conforming.
Okay.
How long would it have to be vacant?
It's technically 6 months up to a period of 2 years. But I can read the defining definition.
Just needed an answer unless Madam Chair replies.
Can I just add a little bit more background information? They closed in October, the last service was October 16th, 2022. And the reason there was no service until we opened for AA on December 1st of 2023, which is only 14 months, right? The reason that it was not in use that long is because there was a break-in at the building. Everything that was needed to use the space, the toilets couldn't run because the plumbing was stolen. I mean, they took the hot water heater and some plumbing pieces and all of the brass and like copper components from the chapel. So they had to close to figure out how they would financially be able to reopen, and they weren't, and that's when I became the owner of the property.
To the chairs, when you establish the use legally. So the use as AA was not legally established until the meeting here. The application was submitted.
Thank you, Ms. Leonard. Okay. So we'll go with testimony. So Ms. Syed, we have several of you here. So you're limited to 2 minutes. If someone else is saying basically the same thing you're saying, please be even briefer.
And I'll make it quick because I don't actually live on the street, but I work at University Settlement as a social service agency within the neighborhood. I also live in facilitate a community group called Citizens to Bring Back One Forward. And I know many members of that community are not in favor of this establishment being on their street. A lot of people that I spoke to, when I speak to them, initially, State University Settlement thought it was a good thing, helping out the community, coming to the warming center. But once I began to hear negative comments from neighbors, that's when concern arose. And when I spoke to the neighbors, some are here today, some are not, I sensed genuine fear and genuine concern. One resident told me that someone from that the warming center or the AA, I can't remember which one, someone looked through her window, but she was telling her someone was looking back at her.
Madam Chair, it's really hard to hear her.
Right, we're down to one mic, Ms. Roca.
She also
Right, I'm gonna ask you to stand, we have the one mic here.
Okay. She also told me that since then she has placed security cameras on her home. And I know from a person that live in the community, there was a drug rehab center that was placed directly in back of my home, not more than 2 blocks away. And within a year of that being placed in my community, my house was broken into and I was robbed at night point. This happened in 2018. And the fear that I experienced after that, I can't even explain or quantify that. So I just would, when residents reach out to me and they express concern, I take that very seriously, and I hope you consider that. Thank you.
All right, so you're an objection to the project? Okay. All right, I have Ms. Thomas next.
Oh, that was me.
Oh, that's you.
That is me.
All right, ma'am.
I've come to speak in favor of this project. I was a Cleveland resident. I experienced in our own home break-ins, at my church break-ins, at our bike shop break-ins. This happens, and I'm very sorry that that happens. It's terrible. All of that happened before our church began operating a cold weather shelter. These things happen. But all across the country and throughout history, as she said, in these kinds of crises, religious institutions have been among the places that have stepped up. And honestly, when we got into a similar problem with the shelter at our church that we were operating, the communities really stepped forward. And I think the community in general understands the primacy of meeting people's basic needs. And nobody wants these kinds of folks, if you can put it that way, in their backyard. That's just the way it is and everywhere. But across the country, people step up until we come to a deeper solution of this crisis. And I think that's really what needs to happen. But I don't think that's going to happen tonight or tomorrow. So thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. Melba, like to step forward, please?
Yeah.
And state your name before you speak, because we have a court reporter. She's working virtually.
Okay.
So we need to make sure she captures everyone's names.
All right, my name is Melba Kalan, and I live in a 3821 Wonder Avenue. So I don't have any problem if it'll be the church like I used to be way before. I don't have any problem with it be the church. But at this point, I have a bad experience since this person has been going, the rehab or whatever they are trying to open. One day I was trying to go work early in the morning, it was a man. It was a man in front of my house. I was trying to get my car out for the driveway and he would just, some drugs, like some substance, like stay with just right there. I got scared. I just mentioned to my neighbor and that's why I'm here. I'm sorry, but no, that I don't feel safe if that's gonna be the case. I got grandkids and I'm worried about that too. I'm worried what can happen later, so.
Where's your house in relation to the church?
I'm sorry?
Where's your house in relation to the church?
Is it the
Can you
third
show
one?
us?
It's the third one.
It's the third one over.
Yeah.
All right, great. Thank you. Ms. Wagner?
Yes, my name is Victoria Wagner, and I am the lot directly behind the church. As far as this goes, I'm saying no flat out. It's a safety issue. There were a few incidents where there was a man standing outside the gate one day when I went to pick up my daughter-in-law from work, and it was pure dark. And if it wasn't for the fact is that we pulled up, we would have never known he was there. Then we have all kinds of people. I'm on a dead end. Our street is a dead end. There's people walking all up and down the street, and it's like we don't know where they're coming from. And we never had that before. I've been over there for almost 12 years. And I've never, except for when I got broke into, but we never did that. But we've never had a problem where there's just random people walking up and down the street because everybody already knows that it's a dead end. Then there's my grandkids. There's people outside, they're smoking marijuana. We can smell it when we come outside. Then there's the yelling, the cussing. There's been a few fights. Police, ambulance, fire trucks, different times and different hours. It's just the loud music coming from out of nowhere. It's somebody's car that's over there in the parking lot early in the morning between 4 or 5 to 7 in the morning. It's a nuisance and it has become annoying. I have 9 grandchildren. My grandchildren uses the lot that's beside me where the church sits. They're outside playing. I don't know if these people are pedophiles, rapists, anything. That is my full-fledged concern because we don't know where they're coming from. They're not being vetted to say, well, oh, this person has a criminal history. Oh, this person has done that, because you're treating the homeless and you're trying to get them a place to stay. So we don't know what put them in that position to say, okay, I can't do this or I can't do that. I'm concerned about my life and my children.
What are the age range of your 9 grandchildren?
From 16 to 1.
Great, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Deborah?
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Just need to say your name.
Kukwa.
Thank you.
I don't have a problem with helping people. I'm from the Buckeye area from back in the 50s, from the Huck riots, and I've always tried to be a good citizen. And that's why I've stayed where I am and tried to get along with the people that I live by. And it concerns me a little bit that the neighbors weren't informed of this process. Didn't find out about it until maybe late November, December, that this process was happening. Where I live to the side of me is a women's correctional facility. There is a rehab center down the street. There is 5115, which is a financial assistance facility for mothers and fathers with children and adults. Behind that is a adult senior building, thank you, a senior building. We have another rehab center down the street. We also have a blood bank down the street. There's also another AA building that is right on the corner of Pershing and Broadway. I don't understand why all this is coming into one area. I've seen these guys walking around. I've seen ambulances over there all hours. I've seen traffic over there all hours. I live right across the street pretty much from the church. I can see where the lights are on the church.
So you're
I've seen
directly across from the front of it?
I live at 3093 Otakar.
Okay.
So I can see all the activity going on there, and it's all hours of the night. There's just no specific time where it's quiet over there.
Got it. Okay. Thank you, ma'am. All right, Edward McDonald?
Good morning, everybody. So let me start the statement by saying I understand what Shelter the People of Cleveland are trying to do by sheltering the most vulnerable during the cold months in Cleveland. However, I would also like to acknowledge the people of that street that have taken a great care of that neighborhood and all work together to maintain what has become a very good section of that North Broadway neighborhood. These two elements are kind of clashing right now. But honestly, with regards to the residents of the street, as far as their issues with the use of the building, I have to support them and their concerns. Many of the visitors that are staying in that once vacant church are not staying inside the building and are instead wandering around the neighborhood, making people nervous. They're exposing themselves, they're sleeping in areas outside, such as bus shelters and other areas. We've all heard reports. The shelter, I'm told, cannot keep these using the shelter inside the shelter against their will. My main issue, however, is that there's no vetting or background checks for any of these individuals, as many of them could be sexual predators, as somebody else mentioned. We wouldn't even know the difference. There's a school, if you go right in that map right there, there's a school right behind there. It's in that next street behind.
It's less than 15.
It's less than 50, and now nobody's pointed out the school. So that school starts at about the same time these people are supposed to be getting let out of this facility. I'd also like to point out that there's also, as an abandoned house activist, there's at least 17 abandoned houses in that adjacent area. So this could also create an additional problem with the homeless wandering around, going into abandoned buildings, also potentially taking some of these kids inside those vacant buildings and doing harm to them. We have no way of knowing who's coming in and out of this facility. These could be criminals, these could be whatever. The fact that this is close to a school with abandoned houses in the neighborhood also presents a huge issue. I do believe there can be compromise, however. One compromise may be to utilize it as a homeless shelter in extreme weather situations, possibly. But I do believe the center itself has a lot to offer the neighborhood, and I do feel their heart is in the right place and has potential to be a real bright spot to the asset to the neighborhood. But it can't be at a cost of furthering the bleeding of this neighborhood, or possibly destroying what many are trying to work hard to preserve and invest in. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McDonald. Marilyn from the CDC?
Have all the residents spoke before, because we'll let the residents speak before we make our comments.
Right. Did you have a comment, ma'am?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay.
State your name for me.
My name is Sandra Fruits. I reside 2 houses away from the shelter.
Okay.
Since the shelter and the NA and the AA meetings have been there, has been nothing but chaos. I understand what they're trying to do to help, but not on a small dead end residential street. So I have photos and petitions where they come out, they've urinated, they have exposed themselves in front of the house because the church is here. You might go 20 feet over, the kids' bedroom windows are right there. It's not a safe route for CMS, for Cleveland Public Schools. Between 2 and 3 in the morning, 3:15, they're out there arguing, shouting, loud music. My neighbor came over beating on my door, said she opened up the door, the man was standing there at her door. It has been complete chaos. I have spoken to Stephanie Thomas about this. I've spoken to her out on the phone. I've spoken to her in front of her building, and she told me, her being the landlord, that did not concern her. And it was other parties there from Slavic Village Development, other people there that witnessed this. You cannot help people to sacrifice the other people. Everybody on the street, we come together, we've cleaned it up, we network, we plant flowers, we do this, we do that. And for Ms. Thomas to sit up and say that this area is just dirty and nasty and, I mean, just belittling us, right? Then when I leave out in the morning at 6:30, I drive around because the kids start coming to school, walking to school about 7:20. I have pictures of homeless people sleeping in the bus shelters right at the school. So it's not a safe route for children going or coming. I've had pictures of them going in my neighbor's garbage can where they sitting out there urinating. I have one video where a gentleman comes out, urinates in front of the building and goes back in. Right next to the church is a field where it's like a jumpy house where the kids jump in. The man came over to get ready to take a crap on the thing, and the kids was like, no, and called their grandmother. When I say this it's absurd. And I understand, but this needs to be somewhere on maybe a more downtown or maybe by 30th on a main street, not a residential street that only has 9 houses. Children cannot ride their bike. They cannot come out and play because they're walking 24/7. The fire department, the ambulance, waking me up, H this, B this, this. Even the people that work there, they're not respectful. They wake me up every night. Loud music, talking, and so forth. It is terrible. And if I went to Ms. Thomas and spoke to Mr. Sherlock about, and this other gentleman, and Mike, about the situations, nothing has been done yet. So I can't even imagine what's to come. And then it was NA meetings there, AA meetings there. Then the homeless come in, you stand out, sit over, you got weed coming all through over there. I mean, it's absurd. No one wants to, we all own our homes over there. We all put love into our street. We plant flowers, we come together, we clean up the community and so forth. So I oppose of this. I don't feel safe when my daughter come in, when my grandchildren out there in the street, from curb to curb, might be 20 feet. It's a narrow street. So if a car parked on each side of the street, you can barely get through, right? Then one day it was a repast there. The people were all out in the middle of the street blasting their music, drinking, smoking weed, standing in front of the people's house. The lady came out, told them to move. They about to get to arguing. It's chaos. You cannot sacrifice other people for what you want to do. We pay taxes over there and we love our community. We understand that she wants to help, but this is not the small area for it. It's in my neighbor's backyard. We can't do anything, nothing. So I oppose it 200%.
Okay, thank you. Thanks. All right, have I gotten everyone then from the neighborhood? Anyone else? All right, we'll go to Marilyn now, please.
Thank you, Chairperson. I just want to introduce to the next meeting our Executive Director, Shauna Sanders. She started a month ago.
Oh, welcome.
So on behalf of Slavic Village Development, we are opposed of this also. And we're not going to reiterate everything that the residents have said, but we totally are not supposed of, we are opposing of this facility here also.
Thank you. Who's speaking on behalf of city planning?
I am.
All right, Kenya. We only have the one mic, so if you want to come a little closer.
All right. So on behalf of the city, the bid.
You need to state your name.
Oh, I'm Kenya Gray, Southeast Side City Planner. So on behalf of the city, the Bibb administration's initiative, A Home for Every Neighbor, is not focused on creating additional shelter options in the city. Instead, the city and Cuyahoga County are working to transition existing seasonal shelter operations that utilize churches without proper zoning, building or fire authorizations to a full season housing navigation center. The city is not looking to create additional overnight emergency shelter beds in general. We are more focused on developing a housing-focused outreach model and diverse permanent housing options that suit the needs of residents exiting unsheltered homelessness, as well as the safety and comfortability of the surrounding residents. That's it.
Thank you.
So we're not in support.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. Do we still have the councilman on? And do we have any better connection, do we think? Or should we just read the statements that he's messaged?
I recommend you try to ask him and see if it works.
Councilman Starr, are you with us? Okay, you want to read his statements?
Okay, these are the statements that were placed into the chat this morning. Hi, I do not support the piece. Project has caused many issues for residents in the community, such as the following: busing issue, close to a school, lack of accountability and operation, loud music, no security, background checks on who is staying in a residential neighborhood, guys looking into their houses and wandering around. And that is the extent. That is all that he put into the chat. He is opposed.
Councilman, we just read your statements. Do you have anything else to add?
Yes, I'm sure.
Nope, start typing again.
No. Councilman, so sorry, but you're still breaking up on us. We've read what you entered in the chat. Do you have anything else that you want to type in? Anything else come through?
No, I don't see anything that.
All right. That was it. Okay. All right. So he just messaged that his previous comments were all that he has and that he's just adding that he opposes it. I'll go to questions or comments from the board.
Yes, Madam Chair, I have a question for Mr. Gray with respect to the statement of the city. So I just want to clarify, is the city's position that they will no longer support warming centers of this kind in the city, and they are transitioning these types of locations to something else? If you could clarify that, and then correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Gray, but I believe this facility received, or maybe this is a question for the appellant, money to operate here from the city. So is there a change in that as well? Is the entire framework changing from the city's perspective?
So I can say that the Bibbs administration, A Home for Every Neighbor, that initiative, they're not looking to create additional overnight emergency shelter beds or like use it in churches without proper zoning, like this case is for.
Does that answer your question, Ms. Rocco?
They're not trying to create additional warming centers. Yes, I understand that. But this appellant
One second. We have Ms. Leonard with a response that might clarify this. Go ahead.
So there was a news article published, probably 2 weeks ago through Channel 5 that had this particular shelter mixed in with a different story that was supported by a more permanent, homeless, just warming shelter type of situation that was, funded through the council. It was a separate organization from Shelter to People. I'm not sure why Channel 5 mixed those two organizations together.
It's the same shelter.
Oh,
I
I can
clarify. 2, 3 different names.
all right, okay.
But I can also clarify that from Director Wong and the mayor's office, they also spoke to me as well as Kenya in regards to an RFP was put out for more permanent supportive housing. And that was that, you know, without these, understandably, there's a need to house and warm homeless populations. And the city is sensitive to that, but we actually have it now. Emily Collins is the mayor's assistance that is working with the county in partnership to establish more long-term solutions to the homeless population that they can ensure not only zoning and they have the proper permits in advance, but also making sure building and housing code issues are resolved when you're housing, 30, 50 people in a location. And that's really the key, is not only are the residents that are coming to stay in these centers safe, but also the external residents and community.
Ms. Rocca, community. Does that answer your question, Ms. Rocca?
Yes, I mean, that was one of my, so every year, I mean, we see the call outs for folks to go to warming shelters in the winter. And we see those, communications coming from the city as well, from city accounts. I see it every winter. So I thank you, Ms. Leonard, because your explanation drives home the point that we want to make sure that folks have places to go in the winter that are properly vetted by building and housing and safe, and have all the appropriate utilities and sprinkler systems, et cetera. So that clarifies for me what the city's position is. I appreciate that explanation. Thank you.
Any further questions? Ms. Brown, did you have anything?
Yeah, I have quite a few, but to be succinct, Ms. Thomas, have you had any conversations with your neighbors about what you're planning, what you're doing, how people can come together as a community?
Yeah, I have spoken to dozens of my neighbors, both individually and
not a community meeting.
And I've gone to every community meeting except the last one since we became the owner of the property, and have done my best to be able to communicate sort of what's going on, but often don't get a chance to actually speak about plans. I was not aware of a lot of these neighbor concerns because despite giving my phone number to people, nobody tells me what's going on. My organization owns the building. This winter, Radical Hospitality operated it. I've been taking notes personally about what was going on, what the staff's been doing, and I'm not super happy about a lot of the things
that you're hearing.
Yeah, of course not.
No, right? They're not good things. But there is the opportunity for good things to happen. It seems that there needs to be a community meeting about this property and its use, not you going to other meetings with other agenda items, hoping to talk about it. One more question that I have. The way the variance is written, it's sort of an all or nothing. The church and the overnight habitation, either voting, the way I read this, we're voting it up or down.
Correct.
You get nothing for everything. But as one of the persons from the community testified, there is the potential for something good to come out, but that comes with compromise and conversation. And what's before us does not allow that. It's either all or nothing. And given the testimony about the negative impact on your neighbors, this is a hard situation right now.
I understand. I understand what you mean. Apologies, as I am a zoning and building code expert from New York City. I'm from Cleveland. I'm an architect. I'm happy to like have all those conversations and come back with a revised proposal.
But
revised variance.
The only way I think I, as one board member, would consider that is that you would have to stop having people wandering through the neighborhood while you're putting that together. So I don't know if it's being used now for a warming station. You know, we just had the snow. Maybe you did. I don't know. But you would have to somehow have better control over how the building is used while you're working with your neighbors on a plan.
Okay, understood. There is nobody staying there overnight moving forward until we correct all of this, get clarification, talk with people. It will only be used for Alcoholics Anonymous.
And what are the hours of that? How does that impact your neighbors?
Right, I mean, right now, currently, there's only 2 meetings that are actually in operation because we were waiting to get back in the space and clean it up. So we have 2 meetings a week at 6 p.m. on a Monday and a Friday.
And what time are they finished?
7 p.m. I have a key to the church. My partner Sharon Vaughn has a key to the church. Her husband has a key, and a woman that runs the women's meeting on Monday night has a key. So that's those are the people that are like letting people in and out for AA meetings at those designated times.
So when people leave the meeting, do they have transportation to and from, or are they walking? Describe the situation.
As far as I know, everybody that comes to the church for a meeting either gets there with their own vehicle or is picked up, like some women live in a group home, for instance, a sober home, so they get picked up like in a carpool and they come. So.
Well, those were my questions, Madam Chair. I think there are lots more questions unanswered. It really is. There are 2 things. There's the zoning for the use of the building, and then there's the operations of it, and the monitoring and the enforcement of rules that help people operate it within a neighborhood. So those are my concerns.
Right. Yes, we have one more comment and then we're gonna move on.
Okay, every time we did speak to Ms. Thomas, she never corrected it with Mike or the Paul Sherlock. They told us it's open 24/7, so people are roaming. They're cooking with no permits. No, they have no vans, which we know that already. They're up all through the day, all through the night, 24/7. 24/7. And when they do have the meetings there, they might come about 6, they leave out about 7. They're flying up and down the street, blasting the music. Then buses come from 2100 in Lakeside, from the homeless shelter over there, something ministries. They come 3 or 4 bus loads. They stand outside. Like, it is chaotic. Okay. You can't even get any sleep. So she told us in the beginning that it was going to be a couple of hours or they were just getting driven in. Then she said 24/7 and they can just walk from anywhere, drop off. It's been chaotic and nothing has been right since the beginning, and everything that we were told was wrong.
Okay. All right.
Sandra, I would just like to say that any concerns that I did get, I did pass on to the operators, and I'm very sorry that they were
I understand.
I
that.
apologize for not having more
That's
control over the
ladies,
situation
that's it.
Personally.
Okay.
Okay. You have anything else, Ms. Leonard?
I-
You have anything else, Ms. Brown, Ms. Wilson? No?
I don't have anything else. I mean, I think for the accessory use that she's referencing of the AA meetings, that's not been established and it's
Okay.
those accessory uses.
They're not allowed.
They've been ongoing for years, so they technically, there's no permit of it on file with our Excel system.
See, I was gonna ask that question. Is there a need for a permit for AA meetings?
Right now there is, because this isn't an actual being used as like a place of worship currently. So the accessory, the AA meetings are actually, they're being used in this regard as a main use instead of an accessory use. Generally, if you have a typical place of worship that's active, like actively holding service and things of that nature, community meetings like AA and block clubs and things like that are accessory that are permitted without establishing it. But what's going on here is it seems like she's stating that if they're not using it as an overnight habitual boarding house, they are gonna be using it twice a week as AA meetings, so she would need to establish community meetings.
So she would not, right now, be able to hold AA meetings in accordance with the zoning, because it's a main use.
I would just like to, thank you for that information, by the way, I appreciate it. I would just like to reaffirm that many courts outside of the state and much higher levels of, with no disrespect to this board, have determined that Alcoholics Anonymous is a religious use and is protected under the First Amendment.
That's correct, but it has not been established here at this location as a main use.
Okay. Great, thank you.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
just for clarification, is the appellant the operator or is she a landlord? I haven't heard, I'm not sure if that was mentioned and how, just for my notes, how involved, not sure if I heard that as well, is she
Right.
really part of the?
You want to
operation?
just break down how everything is working in terms of ownership, management,
Of course, sure.
operations?
So we opened as an overnight shelter with Radical Hospitality, which is a third party operating it, because they've done this in the past because of need of space. Putting that to the side, the space is used by myself, my organization, and Sharon Vaughn of Our Place Drop-In and Resource Center as our main office. We will have meetings there. I plan to, starting in April, be there like normal office hours. And we're just going to continue renovating this beautiful, gorgeous church space. It's absolutely gorgeous on the inside. It was not well taken care of the last 10 years. So that once we do have full legal use of the building as a community space, we can, our neighbors can use it for meetings. If people want to have events there, be it an educational seminar or, a party for a dead loved one, they can do that.
But it sounds like you can't use it for AA meetings without getting a permit.
That's what I'm hearing.
Right.
So, Madam Chair, if
Yeah.
the appellant mentioned a third party overnight operator, is that going to be going forward as well?
I've ended the partnership with them based off of the lack of oversight and accountability by their management.
And so then, Madam Chair, it'll be your company then, that is the shelter.
Shelter of the People Cleveland.
That will be doing what?
We're going to use it as our office space. I'm an architect and have submitted plans under the mayor's A Home for Every Neighbor program. And I plan to be building homes for people throughout Slavic Village and Cleveland and Cuyahoga County.
Okay.
So, Madam Chair, then,
But this doesn't even include use as an office.
Right.
That's not
Right.
correct.
Right.
Madam Chair, I'm with Terry on Ms. Brown on this. It's very confusing at this point what the appellant is asking, what the use is going to be. We've heard differing testimony.
And Madam Chair, she mentioned holding parties there. I think that's also another different code section that should have been cited.
So this is a two-family district. And the application was for following a violation notice for using this for overnight. The application is stated for to establish use as a church and overnight habitation in a B1 two-family residential district. Because it has been being used as that, at least prior to this application.
Right.
And then according to the testimony, I think currently or in operation as of date. So that's what this application was for, anything for an office, using it for repast parties as a main use. You would still have to establish that because it's just, even though it looks like a church, the building is a church, the use needs to be established. Whatever it's going to be. And this application was to use it for church. She stated that it's not a church, it's being used for AA meetings. And then the overnight habitation of the homeless, obviously that's what they're seeking a variance for.
Right.
So Madam Chair, one option would be that the appellant could withdraw and reapply, laying out all of the issues, or at this time, the board can make a decision on what we have before us.
Right, that's where I was at. My feeling is that it may be in your best interest to withdraw.
To withdraw it instead of having it denied?
Right.
Madam Chair, it might be something you would want to confirm with the board members.
Right.
If they're comfortable with that, or if they would prefer to make a decision.
Feelings, board?
Madam Chair, I'm of the opinion that the appellant needs to further refine what the appellant would like to do in this building and have this board consider.
Not only refine the use, but also engage the community.
Of course.
Exactly, right. So sometimes we say that things are not fully cooked.
Sure.
And it seems apparent that this is probably not fully cooked.
I think that's appropriate.
Okay.
I have a lot of great ideas, and the building has a lot of potential and opportunity for the neighborhood, and I will come back with something more concrete and concise
So
very soon.
So
Of course, yep.
But I also encourage you not to use it in ways that require permits while you're figuring this out.
I hear you.
That's all I have to say.
I hear you. Thank you very much.
So in this room, you've got your city planner,
Mm-hmm.
you've got your community development, the new director, and the in Maryland. Those are your resources, and you need to be working with the councilman as well.
Got it.
Besides all your neighbors.
And talking to your neighbors. Right?
Yeah,
Right.
I've done a lot of that, and it has become apparent to me that like providing space for the shelter this year perhaps put me in a bit of a quagmire with my true intentions for my organization and space. So
I'm
gonna withdraw.
Okay.
Please, I request to withdraw my zoning variance.
Okay.
Madam Chair, just one more thing, just one more note for the board members. We do have the fact that the administration and the councilmen are opposed to this, as well as the community is strongly opposed. Perhaps the board would consider making a decision on the habitation portion of it, just to make that clear that if the board so chooses, if the board is in alignment with the administration and councilmen, just as a note, something for the board members to think about.
I have a question about that though, Ms. Kukla. If we render a decision on that and it ends up that the appellant does get her ducks in the row and wants to use this facility for that purpose in the future, is she foreclosed from doing so? I believe she would be, right?
Right,
Yes,
I
yeah.
believe she would be.
Yeah,
So I would defer to the acting zoning administrator Rater, excuse me, if she could comment on it.
Yeah, I think, if you were to vote on to use it as a habitation, overnight habitation for, in this structure, yes, you would be precluded from seeking that variance in the future. Yeah.
As it stands
Okay.
right now, overnight habitation is not allowed, right?
That's correct. Because
Yes, that's correct.
House is
Right.
first permitted in a multifamily.
You are advised to stop.
We have stopped
Right.
already.
And to
Okay.
make sure that it's not, in the winter, you don't redo it. So to stop the habitation and then to not have it happen later in the year as well.
Or as a cooling center if it gets hot.
I mean, I think that's for if you want to vote on the variance that she's seeking, rather than, it's up to you.
Well, she's requested a withdrawal, so. I
She's
think we'll
requested
go with that.
withdrawal. I'll stop. Go
Right.
ahead, Madam Chair.
Okay.
Madam Chair.
Do you have any objection to the withdrawal or any comment?
I do not have objection to the withdrawal.
Okay.
Thank
Can we
you.
vote? Can we vote on it?
She's withdrawn.
I'm
So
withdrawing.
Madam, through the chair,
Well, doesn't a withdrawal just delay it?
She,
I don't, I'm just asking.
I'm gonna resubmit to get a full permit for using it for AA.
Okay, so it.
Madam Chair, we're
Yeah,
not
yeah.
debating right now.
Right.
No, I don't
But
wanna
the
be-
madam
I'm
wants
just
to
asking.
understand the
I'm just
process.
asking,
No,
so
let's hear.
I'll know, I just need to know, like, if I need to call, whatever our neighborhood needs to do, right? Because from the beginning, it keep flip-flopping. It just keep flip-flopping. It just keeps changing back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. It's just like,
So-
everything changes.
so
Okay.
at this point, she's withdrawn.
Okay,
The uses that she has intended for, are not allowed at this point. And so she's gonna be working with the necessary, people, councilman, CDC, city planning, to work, and of course, the community, to work out something that, can be acceptable.
okay, I hear you.
Hold on
Now-
one second.
Okay,
One
go
second.
ahead.
One more question. Do you even have a construction permit
No.
working in the building?
Oh, I didn't file for them. We reconnected pipes and they're in place. I did not file for that. I replaced the hot water heater, which was stolen. I did not file for that.
Okay. So you have some work to do. You're withdrawn,
Yep.
okay?
So if this keeps happening, what is the recourse? Like,
You
what's
contact your council person.
contact the council person? Okay, because this and everything else, now, it's just a
Yeah.
mess.
It's also a matter of building and housing. We don't stop her from using it because there is no permit.
Okay, because I know for a fact, there's no permits for cooking, no permits for, like the sprinkling. She has been working, what's the word I'm looking for? It's not legal, it's illegal, everything in there, no permits.
Well,
I've been-
ma'am, you can paint, as you know,
I mean,
we've
I
had our
understand.
houses with no permit. There's some things you can do and some things you can't.
I respect that.
And this,
But just having the people and cooking and the AA, the weed smoking, the fighting in front of the church, the parties, like it's just been chaotic. I understand. I just want to know where I stand because again, it's a lot of people who couldn't come that are elders, right? They couldn't get down here and some of them are fearful, right? About what might or what might not happen. So I'm just gonna hold it there and just.
So Madam Chair, just to be clear as well, the appellant would not be permitted to do the AA meetings.
Right. There is no permissible use at this particular point in time.
Okay, I will be resubmitting for that use tomorrow morning.
Okay? All right, we're done.
People need to stay sober,
Okay.
so. I'll put it in.
Thank you.
You have to get your permit before you start doing.
Yeah.
I should put it down.
Thanks, Josh.
Thank you.
Maybe if it's not systemic, because it's over, and there's also. But, yeah, I will.
The other question is stopping way out and downstairs. I have to speak to them. She's the-
Me and Julia.
Yeah, I read it.
But maybe she doesn't understand the status of your property. I mean,
She does now.
okay. Oh, right, the article and everything.
Yeah.
What? Sure. I missed the article.
There was an article in
Oh, yes.
Okay, so I want to say, if you want to have that.
Oh, I think Grace, I have you.
Building or a job. Okay, I'll talk to Terrence.
I would love to know.
I mean, that's the beginning.
Yeah, like I've been going to community meetings and there is a lot of issues to talk about, so we haven't had the opportunity, right? Thank you.
Yeah, we just have like a whole.
We're still
Oh,
on
no,
air.
yeah, it's still public, yeah.
Cause I think like, I know like Sandra, like concerned about like the people in AA or community speaking that agree. I want to talk to all the fellows about that.
And Sharon should be able to like.
But we're not, I mean. we'll
For those on the
talk,
phone, we are
but
taking a
can't.
break right now because one of the board members did have to step up. Just making an
Okay.
announcement.
Oh,
to the
sorry.
board member.
Thank
I mean,
you.
to the public.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks for the fun shirt. All right, Ms. Holzer. Thank you for,
Yep.
thank you. We're gonna go to calendar 24-025.
Sounds good. Our next case is calendar number 24-025. This is an administrative appeal. It looks like John Vinson's appeal of the Landmark Commission's denial of certificates of appropriateness. John Vinson appeals under the authority of section 76-6 of the Charter of the City of Cleveland and section 329.02D of the Cleveland Codified Ordinances from the decision of the Cleveland Landmarks Commission to deny the proposal to install vinyl siding at 3052 Albion Road in case number 23-124. And with that, I will hand it over to Ms. Wilson for the oath.
Thank you, Ms. Holzer. I will go ahead and swear you in. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give is the whole truth and nothing but the truth? Please raise your right hand, reply with I do, your name and your address.
I do, Daniel Wilson, 601 East Lakeside Avenue.
Is there anyone online who wishes to speak in this matter?
Yes, my name is Nick Hill, the Home Corporation, and as 23311 Commerce Park Drive in Beechwood, Ohio.
Okay, anyone else online wishing to speak in this matter? Hearing none, back to you, Madam Chair.
Okay, Mr. Hill, are you representing the appellant?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, Madam Chair.
And in what capacity?
So I am the contractor for them, who will be doing, or hoping to be doing, their signing application and wanted me to advocate on their behalf.
All right, Ms. Kukla, do we have a letter on file saying that he is authorized to act for the appellant?
No, I do not see one in the
Mr. Hill, we need a letter from the appellant authorizing you to act on their behalf. Did they send one in?
One should have been sent in. I apologize if it wasn't.
Yeah, we don't seem to have it.
All right, we do not have it physically or in email, so that's something that we would need.
Okay.
Okay. All right, did we lose Mary?
Looks like it, Madam Chair.
Do you have the legal standard to read?
I can read it on the screen if Mr. Bay puts it up. Yes, there it is. Madam Chair, members of the board, appellant is appealing a denial by the Cleveland Landmarks Commission. The standard of review is whether the approval was illegal, arbitrary, capricious, unreasonable, or unsupported by the preponderance of substantial, reliable, and probative evidence. If the appellant fails to meet this burden, the approval must be affirmed.
All right. Do you have anything else?
This is a distance. Can you hear us? Hello?
Yes, I can hear you. Who are you?
Oh, this is John and Valerie Vincent. Just wanted to make sure that, when you asked, we couldn't get the system unmuted when we when you first said it. So we are here and we're listening, and we do give a permission to Mr. Nick Hill.
All right, we're gonna have to swear you both in. So, Ms. Wilson will administer the oath to you.
Do you swear?
Okay.
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give is the whole truth and nothing but the truth? Please raise your right hand, reply with I do, your name and your address.
I do. John L. Benson Jr., 3052 Albion Road, Cleveland, Ohio, 44120.
And I do. Valerie Benson, 30052 Albion, Cleveland, Ohio, 44120.
And I do. Nick Hill, the Home Corporation, 23311 Commerce Park Road, Beechwood, Ohio, 44122.
Okay, I think we had you, Mr. Hill, but thank you for doubling down on that, and we now have verbal authorization. So we'll take statement from, are you making testimony, Mr. and Mrs. Vincent?
We're gonna let Mr. Hill proceed first, and then we may have some rebuttal or have some questions or.
Yeah, we will actually have a testimony. This is Valerie Vincent. We will have a testimony after we hear the presentation. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Hill, you're on.
Yes, Madam Chair and distinguished board members, I appreciate your time and opportunity here this morning. Based off of where we're led us up to this point today, I'm advocating here on the behalf of the homeowners. The homeowners, a few months, probably 4 or 5 months ago, submitted an application to do a brand new vinyl siding on their home. We submitted a proposal through the appropriate chains and committees to go ahead and get their vinyl siding approved. One of the things we originally submitted was a certain type of style of siding, which was quote unquote board and batten versus a typical clapboard is currently on the side of the house right now. Given the denial based off of the meeting that we had last with the Board of Approve, we were denied to the siding thickness that we are pulling forth to do on their home, which is a 5-inch clapboard versus currently right now, which is the normal wood on the house, which is sitting at 8 inches. Based off the meeting that we did have, they wanted to keep the historical look of the 8-inch board on the house and recommended it to us and the customers. Based off of our meeting, we came and presented numerous and countless examples of homes in their neighborhood that either currently have right now 5-inch vinyl siding or 5-inch aluminum siding. And facing the house, both homes to the adjacent right have 5-inch clapboard on the home. One of the things that was addressed at the meeting that there was no way knowing if any of these homes did pull an appropriate permit, did get approval, and did get a permission to change the application on their home or the thickness of their siding. So my team and I, what we did, we were able to pull such permits. For example, on 3008 Albion Road, which is on the exact same neighborhood of them in Cleveland, 44120, is about 8 to 9 homes that are down the street from them. That house has the exact same structure in regards to look of the house, which is identical to their current house. In 2009, new construction was approved by this permit for exterior altercations for 100% completion. And on that house that currently has right now is the board and batten at a 5-inch, the clapboard at 5-inch. We also pulled another permit for a house right around the corner as Keswick Road, which is 2987 Keswick Road in Cleveland, Ohio, 44120. And that house also in 2010 was granted a permit by the board to change new construction alterations on the outside for new windows, roofing, sidings added to the value. There's another house that had a HVAC pull for a permit, but that house also, an example, has 4.5-inch Dutch lab. Where we are coming to the board is that we did our due diligence, that countless examples I just laid forth here, that permits were granted and approved by the board to change altercations from the 8-inch, which we're more than happy to go ahead and knock on the door as a homeowner if we can take off a piece of siding to prove that it is 8-inch wood underneath there. And ultimately, we want to have the ability to have my clients and customers have the ability to change their house, to add the vinyl siding to their home, to give it great curb appeal, as so many other homes in their neighborhood has done up until this point. And he's wanted to have a fair opportunity, since others did as well, to be able to have the house that they want, the design that they were looking for, with the appropriate siding, which is a 5-inch clapboard, which other homes, as we stated, in the neighborhood that currently right now has that.
What is the existing siding material on the house now?
It's currently right now is wood.
Okay, is it like a cedar shingle? Or is it actually a clapboard, a wooden clapboard?
Wooden clapboard.
And the reveal is currently 8 inches?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So we're going from an 8-inch wooden clapboard existing to proposed vinyl clapboard looking siding with a 5-inch reveal.
Correct.
That's correct?
That is correct. And one of the other things that the committee wanted us to keep, which is if you were to look at the house, there's a freeze board at the top, vertical sidings going down the side. And they wanted to keep that look and consistent look with the new application that we're proposing, which the homeowner agreed to. The homeowner also agreed to remain and keep the shutters of the house as well. The color that they chose, which was an autumn yellow, which is a very similar color that is currently on the house right now. Based off of the meeting, though, the point that got us the denial was that thickness that you alluded to.
Okay. All right, Mr. and Mrs. Vinson, do you want to make any further comment at this point?
No, I actually think they did an excellent job. This is Ms. Benson. Madam Chair, we actually have started this venture about a year ago, and we appreciate your time. We just wanted to do our due diligence in putting the type of siding that we wanted on our home to make it aesthetically appealing as the rest of the homes that are next to us, adjacent to us, and actually around the corner as well. And so we thank you for this opportunity.
Great, thank you. All right, we'll go to you, sir.
All right, thank you, Madam Chair.
There's just one mic, so
All
talk
right.
it out.
I'll do my best.
And state your name first. for the
Yes,
clerk.
Daniel Musson, Secretary of the Cleveland Landmarks Commission. I just have a fairly short prepared statement to read. The Landmark staff does not deny that there are homes in the Ludlow Historic District that have siding measuring the same as proposed in the Vinson residence. There are a number of different siding types and styles in this district, as partially outlined by the contractor for this project in their presentation given to the Landmarks Commission. There are also examples of brick, stucco, vinyl or vertical siding, and 8-inch siding as the Vincents currently have on their home. Due to these different architectural and material styles, each project is evaluated on a case-by-case basis for the appropriateness of the proposed changes for the individual building. It is very rare that any two buildings are exactly the same. The Cleveland Landmarks Commission does not make these decisions arbitrarily. There are about 350 individually designated Cleveland landmarks and 29 historic districts. As part of Chapter 161 of the Codified Ordinances of Cleveland, the Commission applies the Secretary of the Interior standards for rehabilitation when considering any case. The beauty of the standards is that they are applied equally across all designated properties and are adaptable to each context. Whether reviewing a rehabilitation proposal for an early 1860s Ohio City residence, a 1920s school, or a 1950s office building, the standards remain the same. Each has its own unique considerations for appropriate repairs, as does the house at 3052 Albion Road. Another reason each project has to be considered on a case-by-case basis is that not all projects are properly routed to the Landmarks Office. 2 of the 3 projects cited by the appellants were given administrative approvals by building and housing staff and not seen by the Landmarks staff or the Landmarks Commission. Landmarks staff approved the 3rd administratively. In fact, at this very address, 3052 Albion Road, a permit for 17 windows and 2 doors was issued in February 2022 by Building and Housing. This permit application was never routed to the Landmarks, and so we had no opportunity to discuss the proposal with the owners or take the project through the design review process. There are also multiple instances of work being completed without permits or proper review. All these issues impact the integrity of the historic district, and it's a challenge we face on a daily basis. Between the cases not properly routed to the Landmarks Office and those that just disregard the law and do work without permits, we've ended up with some examples of inappropriate vinyl siding in this historic district. When considering the proposal, the project went through our regular design review process. The permit application was routed to the Landmarks Office on November 1st, 2023. Landmarks staff reached out to the applicant for additional information on that very day. By November 6th, our office had received the necessary information and scheduled the applicant for the Shaker Square Ludlow Design Review Committee meeting on November 21st. This project was recommended for approval by the Design Review Committee at that November 21st meeting. From there, the project was scheduled for the December 14th meeting of the Cleveland Landmarks Commission as case 23-124, where the project was tabled to allow the applicant to examine alternatives that were discussed during the meeting. The applicant returned to the commission on January 11th and was denied when it became evident that there was no willingness to come to a mutually agreed upon compromise. The local design review committee is advisory to the Cleveland Landmarks Commission, and while their review and opinion is important, the commission is not bound to agree with them. The design review committee recommendations are weighed by the Landmarks Commission in the same way they weigh staff recommendations or block club input. Ultimately, the commission is tasked with balancing the input from various sources with the Secretary of the Interior standards. When considering this proposal, the commission considered the following from the Secretary of the Interior standards for rehabilitation. A property will, and then I'm just going to go through a few of the standards that were kind of key to this case, which is number 1, a property will be used as it's historically or be given a new use that requires minimal change to its distinctive materials, features, spaces, and spatial relationships. Number 2, the historic character of the property shall be retained and preserved. The removal of distinctive materials or alteration of features, spaces, or spatial relationships that characterize a property will be avoided. Number 3, each property will be recognized as a physical record of its time, place, and use. Changes that create a false sense of historical development, such as adding conjunctive features or elements from other historic properties, should not be undertaken. Number 4, distinctive materials, finishes, and features, and construction techniques or examples of craftsmanship that characterize a property will be preserved. Number 5, deteriorated historic features will be repaired rather than replaced when the severity of the deterioration requires replacement of a distinctive feature. The new feature will match the old in design, color, texture, and where possible material. Replacement of missing features will be substantiated by documentary and physical evidence. Finally, number 6, for new additions, exterior alterations, which we consider this one, or related to new construction, will not destroy historic materials, features, or spatial relationships that characterize the property. The new work will be differentiated from the old and will be compatible with historic materials, features, size, scale, and proportion. The massing and massing to protect the integrity of the property and its environment. The Cleveland Landmarks Commission, based upon these federal, state, and locally adopted standards, found the proposal to change from a 7 or 8 inch siding to a 5-inch siding was not in keeping with the spirit of the Landmarks Ordinance. Owners of properties in historic districts have a responsibility to maintain the historic fabric, to maintain its integrity. For 25 years, the Vinson family has done so. Now the proposed changes jeopardize that. For roughly 100 years, this home has maintained its architectural integrity. As staff, we advise property owners in making appropriate changes to their buildings. We do this not only for the current owners, but for those who will own the buildings in the future. The Cleveland Landmarks Commission followed its design process when considering the proposed changes, the change of the siding of this house. The commission denied the issuance of the certificate of appropriateness based upon the criteria set forth by the Secretary of the Interior Standards for Rehabilitation, which are the adopted standards of the Cleveland Landmarks Commission for Chapter 161 of Cleveland Codified Ordinances. There was a great deal of discussion at this meeting, attempts to compromise and to find alternative solutions, all of which were rebuffed by the applicant's contractor, not Mr. Hill here, but another representative, who stated that the findings of the commission were ridiculous and illegal, and who left the meeting before the motion was made or voted on. Although the vote to deny this proposal was not unanimous, it was also neither arbitrary nor capricious, and we request that the board uphold the decision of the Landmarks Commission. Staff is more than willing to advise the Vinson family on alternative solutions for a successful, appropriate renovation project to help them maintain their home as they've done so nicely during the time of their ownership.
So a couple questions. Going back to the windows. The building department didn't route that, you said?
Correct. That one was administratively approved by Building and Housing without routing the landmarks.
Okay, without routing to landmarks. But the siding did get routed to you?
Correct, yes, on November 1st.
November 1st, okay. And what were some of the alternative choices that were discussed?
7-inch vinyl siding was kind of tossed out as an idea to discuss for the front, or doing the front in hardy siding and then allowing, regular vinyl siding on the sides and rear. Those were the two big ones. There was a fair amount of just sort of back and forth disagreements, but those were kind of the two, I think, most realistic alternatives that came out of the meeting. And that's why it was tabled at that first meeting to allow them to explore those, and they opted not
So
to.
you would have allowed hardy board on the front, but in vinyl on the sides of a lesser reveal?
That was, well, I think the hardy that the commission would have wanted on the front would still be that 7-inch.
But vinyl on the side,
But
that could have
vinyl
been
on the
less.
sides, that could have been less. That's the direction they were heading. I can't bind them to any decision.
Okay, all right. Otherwise,
Are we-
7-inch reveal vinyl.
Yes, yeah.
Okay. Mr. Hill, do you have those other products in your selection?
Madam Chair, appreciate the question. In regards to the siding material and the thickness of that, came down to a cost as well.
Yes.
The other options, I got back to the customer.
I'm sure it did. Yeah, go ahead.
And when bringing that to them, it came down to a cost factor to where it was an aspect of it that is going to cost anywhere between $4,000, $5,000, or $6,000 extra out of their pocket to be able to go with a thicker siding. The only question I had as well is that in regards to just going on the hardy board at the front and going with a 5-inch profile in the rest of the house, that was not my understanding. My understanding was that the entire house needed to keep that 7-inch, 8-inch profile versus just the front and the sides be different.
Okay, so you had a different understanding than what Mr. Munson just stated with regard to the hardy board on front and vinyl on sides.
That is correct.
Okay,
Did he talk to Mr. Munson or he heard no?
good question. Why don't you go ahead and ask him?
Madam Chair, Mr. Hill, did you speak to Mr. Munson or somebody in Landmarks on the same treatment all the way around, or you were told that some other way?
It was, I do apologize. I can't recall the exact moment. I don't have the recording in front of me, but it was either one of the two meetings that we did have with Parks that was to have it to where it was going to be the hardy board. But again, if I missed it, I hope, there's a transcript for that was mentioned in that. I do not recall it being mentioned that the front only elevation had to be hardy board and the rest of it could be the side. If it was mentioned, it would have been mentioned in that meeting, but not on a one-to-one aspect of it or a phone call. That would be separate.
Okay. All right.
Can we speak?
Yes, Ms. Vincent.
Yes. We had looked at that particular alternative that they had mentioned, but the problem we had is that it will cost the homeowner additional money. And those are things that we don't want to. We want to do what we can do aesthetically. We've kept our house for the years that we've had it, but we don't feel that we should have to pay out-of-pocket costs more money just because we want to change our house to the 7 inches. And so that was the major objection. They explained to us, they showed us what it would mean for the house. And I actually thought that it would look hideous. And so we made the decision that that would not be something that we would want to have done to our home. So that is why that was off of the table. So, it's unfortunate that, we felt as the homeowners, we followed all of the proper procedures with all of the permits and everything that we've ever done to this home. And, but we also felt that we were being unfairly targeted, if I may say, because we were looking around and we were seeing these homes. And I understand that those were 2009 and some of the other years, but nevertheless, we felt because we followed the proper protocols and we did what we needed to do, due diligence, that we were somehow being targeted. And so at this time, looking at it, if it's not going to be approved, then we will simply have to paint our home. And because we do not feel that we want to incur additional money for something that we don't want on our home. I mean, we actually do get a choice in that, I would hope, even though it isn't a historical home.
Just curious, you had the windows replaced, now you're looking at the siding. Are you planning to age in place, or are you planning on, are you prepping the house for sale?
No, we plan on staying here. Like I tell my wife all the time, I'm not going anywhere until the coroners come get me.
Yeah.
I'm here forever. And I'm going to, we had windows, we had yard work done, we had new doors, a new roof. We've done a lot to our house, and we just want to age here gracefully, and that's it.
and we're both retired. One is from the city of Cleveland, and I'm actually from the state and actually UH hospitals. And so we're looking to retire here. We were just trying to make our home, better for us. We had not thought anything about selling the home. We planned to retire here. So, okay.
Thank you. Thanks for answering that. I was just curious.
No, thank you.
Are the shutters vinyl as well?
Madam Chair, this is Nick Hill. Yes, they are.
Okay.
One of the, if I may, our last meeting that we did have with the commissions was that we will maintain every architectural detail that would be currently, as you see right now on the house, in premium aluminum, such as I mentioned. If you look at the top of the house, you see a frieze board that goes vertically down both sides as well. So every architectural detail that you see currently now, that would be restored and kept. That if you were to look at it and wouldn't know any difference, you would see everything that you currently see on the house right now. The only discrepancy that there is, and from what the commission said, is that they just can't get and move past the 7-inch, from going from 7-inch down to 5. Even though we did say and mention that we will keep every architectural aspect and detail that you currently see in the house right now in the new application.
Okay, great. Any questions or comments from the board?
Yes, Madam Chair, I have a.
Miss Roca, I'm sorry. I think Miss Wilson buzzed in first.
Oh, sure, go ahead, Miss Wilson. We're probably gonna ask the same question.
Okay, so my first question, I understand that it was approved by design review, or sort of recommended approval. How is it that it was recommended approval by design review, but then denied by landmarks? Is there a different standard, or how did that change?
Through the chair, they're using the same standards, the Secretary of the Interior standards. I believe at that particular design review committee meeting, there was not quorum, so it was not an official recommendation. Well, I take that back. It's a small committee, so there were 3 people there, and they felt that it was not inappropriate. I mean, the standards are a funny thing. You ask 10, we have 11 people on our landmarks commission. There are 11 different opinions. Just as Mr. Hill kind of heard one version of someone, recommending that the, 7-inch or the Hardy be all around the sides. Another person might have commented that they could do 5 on the sides, and it's just, there's always going to be differences in opinion. And we do have multiple design review committees throughout the city. The interpretation of the standards just isn't always the same. The people on the Landmarks Commission were appointed by mayor and by city council. We, ensure that they understand the Secretary of the Interior standards and try and provide training so that they can make decisions based on those standards. We want to, we want to have additional training for the local committees as well, but I wasn't there for the discussion, so I don't know exactly I don't know how they got to that decision.
And to clarify, the design review is the local design.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Ludlow, what's?
Shaker Square Ludlow. Design review.
Shaker Square Ludlow.
Yeah.
Okay. So does that answer your question?
It does, thank you.
All right, Ms. Roca, to you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So my question, no surprise here, relates to the legal standard. So the appellant has to prove, or at least testify, how the Landmarks Commission got it wrong. So what I've heard is that one portion of your testimony is that they got it wrong because they've approved other houses on the same street with vinyl siding. Is there anything else that you would like to tell us about how they didn't comply with the standards that they are supposed to be assessing your permit request?
And with that question,
Yes. So based off of one of the conversations that we had, hopefully I can give you a concise answer here to your question, is that it was a base by base case that the board and commissions said that there was going to be case by case, and that the homes that we cited based off our argument alluded to, again, I'm probably repeating myself here, I apologize, they alluded to that they were unaware if the permits were pulled and approved by that board, so ultimately it was declined. So we are pulling where there's precedent that has been established in the past before on 2 examples of home alterations for different siding compared to what is currently on the house right now. So it is our argument, based off of what they alluded to us, that there is precedent, there is homes and examples prior to it where there has been approval, one on the street that they currently live right now, one on the block over. And we just wanted to have an opportunity to where why is it okay for 1 or 2 or 3 examples that I laid out prior or before the committee here, the board, that was okay, but we aren't allowed to do the exact same thing.
Okay, thank you. And then in response to that, the commission did provide alternatives for the homeowners to use on their property, but the homeowners have rejected those alternatives.
Yes, due to the sheer fact that is going to cost the homeowners additional money, like I said, 5 or 6 grand. Actually, can send over the exact amount would it be based off the square footage in order to get it approved. And the homeowners, as they testified here and alluded to, that it's unfair. Why are we being penalized, doing the right way, doing the right steps, being forced to pay an additional money in order to actually get their house done versus potentially in the past it could have been a different route. I don't know that situation personally, but it was rejected due to the sheer fact of cost too. Additional 5 grand, 5-6 grand out of their pocket that they don't necessarily have.
Right. Okay. Yes, and I'm sensitive to that. I think the board is sensitive to that. So the challenge before us is, applying the legal standard of whether the commission's decision was actually illegal and arbitrary, and also keeping in mind that this is a historic district and there are standards that apply to houses in historic districts for reasons. And that's what the commission vets, right? When you own a home in a historic district, you can't do certain things to it without certain approvals by the government. In this case, the Landmarks Commission. So thank you for that additional testimony. That does clarify for me where the appellant stands on this particular issue.
Madam Chair, may I?
Go ahead, Ms. Brown.
So I thought I heard the Landmarks Commission state that some of the examples Mr. Hill provided with his testimony were actually approved by Building and Housing, not Landmarks. So that's a question related to the legal standard of whether they're being capricious or treating people differently. So to Mr. Munson, is there an effort between Landmarks and Building and Housing to eliminate applications falling between the cracks and ensuring that the proper review is done?
Through the chair, yes, there is. It's a daily frustration for our office because we put all this time and energy into cases like this, and then some just completely bypass us. Not many, but enough that it's frustrating. I mean, one is frustrating. So we are working with Building and Housing on making that process more automated so it identifies when something's in a landmark district without having to put human eyes on it and remember to check a GIS map or something like that. So we are working on correcting that.
Is that going to happen?
My hope is that it does. There's a number of. Did you have something?
That we're
working on. There's been some studies done, and there's a number of changes going on in Building and Housing right now, and they should all result in improvement in that process.
Okay, thank you. And I have one more question, which goes to Mr. and Mrs. Benson. So it is the Landmarks testimony, not that it was approved, but that a compromise option was offered that allowed the more keeping with the original aesthetic on the front of the house, but something less, the reveal is different or the material is different on the other sides. And I think I heard Ms. Vincent saying she rejected that because she did not find it acceptable for her property. But my question to Mr. Hill is, did you price that? And, or maybe not because your customers are not interested, but would that price be a less of a difference? The delta, would it be less than the $5,000 you continue to refer to as really the added price for complying with the landmark standards?
Thank you for the question. And in regards to that price, it would be a little bit different versus what it will be all the way around the house, sticking with the 7-inch profile. I think another question that it kind of alludes to is a few different things. Number one is that there are limited brands, number one, and limited colors that are offered in both the 7-inch or 6.5, 7-inch. There's also offered in the 5. So it's trying to get a similarity in color in that aspect of it to equal out. So that is an issue as well. I guess a question I do have, and I'm glad that Mr. and Mrs. Vincent is on the phone with us here, is a question for them, and I want to make sure I'm understanding this correctly too, is that the commission, Landmarks Commission, as long as they will approve it and let things move forward, if I'm hearing correctly, that the 7-inch, 6.5, 7-inch profile on the front of the house, which is about 4 squares, is maintained the historical look, but the rest of the house can be that 5-inch profile. And I just want to make sure I'm understanding and they understand as well that if that is something that they say, yes, they can go ahead and move forward with, then there is approval.
So you have to go back to the board for approval. You have to say.
Yeah, through the.
Are we to talk now or? Go ahead.
I just wanted to add in that.
Ms. Vincent, we're gonna let Mr. Munson make a response to Mr. Hill's comment.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Thank
sir.
you. Through the chair, yes, if that is a compromise that the owners are interested in, it would have to go back to the Cleveland Landmarks Commission for an approval. Like you'd have to go back through that process. I can't speak, on behalf of the entire commission and make a deal like that at the table here.
Okay.
We talk.
On the Spencer sheet.
Yes, it's.
Go ahead, Ms. Vincent.
Yeah, I didn't, definitely didn't want to interrupt. Yeah, we'll just explore other options because, like I said, I still have the feeling with this whole ordeal that we've been through that, somehow, we're being made the example. I'm sorry that things are falling through the cracks between housing and zoning. It's very confusing for the consumer. But I also think that we don't want to be made the example. We don't want 7 inches on our home. And I think that we have a choice in that. And I understand the Landmark Commission has a choice as well not to approve it. In my opinion, I think that, we will just explore other options and we'll do it that way. But I would like to say before they vote or close out or whatever, that somehow as the property owner, that those 2 entities get it together as far as what they're doing with the housing and the zoning and what's happening, because consumers don't really understand. And I know until I got involved in this, and I'm part of the Shaker Ludlow, I haven't attended the couple of last meetings. However, I don't think that people in this area really know what the Landmark Commission does. And I don't say that facetiously. So I think that, you know, we will just explore other options. We don't want 7 inches, so it's no need to bring it back to the table. We've been doing this since last December. And so I think with that, unless my husband wants to talk, you know, I appreciate your time and I appreciate your due diligence in reviewing this. But I think at this time, I think that we prefer just to, you know, respond that we will just simply paint the home and we'll do it that way. And I thank you for your time. And my husband may want to speak.
Yeah, I'm just really saddened at the fact that, you know, this cannot be resolved. Like I said, I don't think 7 inches or 5 inches are going to be noticeable by anybody in this neighborhood. I never even realized that this was an issue until this happened, because I've been throughout my neighborhood walking my dogs, my kids when he was growing up, and nothing never popped out to me like, oh, that's 7 inches, that's 5 inches, that's not 8 inches. None of that popped out to me, and I don't think it matters to any of my neighbors. I even mentioned to a couple of them, and they were dumbfounded by the fact that someone can stop you from putting siding on your home because, you know, the size of siding.
Yeah. Thank you.
So I thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, board members, I apologize here. I just wanted
Go ahead, Mr. Hill.
Yes, ma'am. I just want to touch upon this. I just want to make sure, hopefully, Mr. Vincent, I can speak on this. They're not saying that they're just withdrawing completely right now, just that the committee obviously were declined that route that they're going, but obviously we were hoping that you would rule in our favor and allow us to move forward with the application for this.
Well, it sounds like they're withdrawing. Is that correct, Mr. and Mrs.
No, we're
Vincent?
not wanting to withdraw. We want to know if you guys are approved the 5 inches.
Yeah.
We're ready to move forward.
But we don't want 7 inches, and so that's why we were considering withdrawing, because we don't want something on our house that we just simply don't want. I don't think that anyone on this committee would want that on their home. So, I mean, maybe they would, but that's something that they choose to pay for. And I think my major argument was also the colors are limited, and then also paying more money for it. That's my objection. I don't want to pay for something as a consumer that I don't really want. So we're going to withdraw if it means that we have to have the 7 inches. But if we could do the 5 inches, no, we don't want to withdraw. We would like to put it through. Okay, so that's the clarity.
Well, what's before us is it is for us to rule on the legal standard, which is if the Landmarks Commission has been arbitrary, capricious. Trying to read what else is on there.
Whether the approval was legal, arbitrary, capricious, unreasonable, or unsupported by the preponderance of substantial, reliable, and true data.
Okay, so there's a rereading of the legal standard. So board, that's what's before us, Mr. and Mrs. Vincent, is to vote on that, the ruling of the Landmarks Commission, or if you want to withdraw.
What's your ruling?
Well, if we vote on it, then we'll have a ruling.
Okay, that's what I'm saying. Well, if you guys vote, that'd be perfect.
Okay.
One other thing I just wanted to say is that, I mean, this Ludlow Commission, who's part of, I don't know if they're part of the Landmark Association or whatever, because it seems like it's two different entities, but I know one approved and then one disapproved. I mean, are they going to come on the same page and work together also, or?
Well, the Shaker Ludlow Planning Group is a local group of residents. The Landmarks Commission is a city entity. So that's the difference.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, all right. So do you want us to move forward then with the ruling?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. All right, I'll entertain a motion. Now, did you have anything you wanted to add? No?
You don't make comments.
I know you don't, but I just, if there was anything else. Okay, so I'll entertain a motion, board.
Madam Chair, I move that we affirm and uphold the Landmark Commission's decision in calendar number 24-025.
Could I have a second, please?
Member Brown, I second.
Okay, Member Brown seconds. Want to call the vote, Ms. Coupon?
Wilson,
No.
Holzer,
No.
Brown,
Yes.
Roca,
Yes.
No.
So, Madam Chair, the motion fails.
Okay.
I believe, this must be a question to law. This is just straight, this would be an approval. Should we have another motion made, board member, or the decision to uphold the Landmarks Commission? The decision failed.
Yeah, so based on the vote,
Right.
the appellant wins their case.
Right. Vote stands.
Why are you asking that question?
In the past, we've had issues with the wording. When I write the resolution, it might be a little complicated, but I'm.
Okay. All right.
So, yeah, the decision, so the request of the appellant has been approved. It'll be ratified next Monday. We will send the appellant a letter.
Yeah. Mr. and Mrs. Vincent, you understand?
No.
No.
Can you explain yourself?
Okay, Ms. Copley, you want to repeat it for the folks?
To the secretary, this is based upon an application. They made an application to building and housing. So there's a B number and all of this stuff. Okay. So it's my understanding then that permit has been approved and that they can go forward and do that.
Your variance has been approved because it failed the motion that was on the table. And after next week, on what day?
Yes, when we ratify it on Monday, we can send them a letter. On Wednesday, they can contact our office and we'll be sure to give them
Mr.
instructions on the next.
Mr. Hill, after next Wednesday, you can move forward with what your customers have asked you to do.
Thank you, Board, for all the consideration and your diligence. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We
Thank you.
appreciate your time. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All
Good luck
right.
on your project.
Thank you.
And thank you so much. We appreciate it. Yes. Okay. Thank you. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Good joy.
Struggle.
Holy schmoly. Yes. Good, yes. We're going on to calendar number 24-026.
Sounds good. I will read it in. Our next case is calendar number 24-026. This is at 13505 Harvard Avenue. Barbara LaSalle, owner, proposes to change the use from a two-family dwelling to a three-family dwelling in a B1 two-family residential district. The owner appeals for relief from the strict application of the Cleveland Codified Ordinances as stated in the agenda and the public record, of which there are two. And with that, I will hand it over to Ms. Wilson for the oath.
Ms. Holzer, I will swear in all who are present for this case. Do we have anyone online? All right. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give is the whole truth and nothing but the truth? Please raise your right hand, reply with ID, your name and your address.
Do we have an appellant present for calendar 24-026?
Yes, I'm present.
All right, can you do the oath for us, please?
Sure.
Ms. LaSalle, I'll read the oath for you again. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give is the whole truth and nothing but the truth? Please raise your right hand, reply with I do, your
I do.
name, and your address.
I do. Barbara LaSalle, 1026 Woodlawn Drive, Napa, California.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak in this matter? Hearing none, back to you, Madam Chair.
All right, history of the property, please.
Thank you. There's been no change in the zoning since 1929. In our Records Administration Office, we found that in 1926, a permit was issued to rent a two-story dwelling, as well as, in 1965, a permit was issued to install aluminum siding to a two-family residence. There is nothing of note in the more recent history, and there are no variances on this address. Thank you.
Thank you. Could we have the legal standard, please?
Madam Chair, members of the board, felon is requesting a use variance from the requirements of the zoning code and a special permit for remodeling to provide for more than 2 dwelling units. To obtain the use variance, the felon must prove that denying the request will result in an unnecessary hardship, particular to the property, such that there will be no economically feasible use of the property without variance, will deprive the felon of substantial property rights, and the granting the variance will not be contrary to the purpose and intent of the zoning code. To obtain the special permit upon prescribing proper safeguards to preserve the character of the neighborhood, the board must determine that the square feet of lot area to be allotted to each dwelling unit is in accordance with the area regulations included in chapter 355. That the dwelling units to be created will not be smaller than 2 rooms and a bathroom. There will be no exterior evidence of a remodeled dwelling house is occupied by more than 2 families, except such as may be permitted by the board. That the building, when altered and occupied, will conform to all applicable provisions of the building and housing codes. And that there is garage or hard surface and drained parking space for at least 1 car per family on the premises.
Thank you. All right, Ms. LaSalle, if you can speak to the variances that you are seeking and tell us what you're planning to do.
Okay, I purchased the property in May as a triplex. When I went to change all the utilities into my name, I found out that it was not approved as a triplex. So it's been since May that it's sitting empty. It needs to have an exterior egress and stairs along the exterior provided to make the added 3rd unit safe and fall within the building codes. It has already, the 3rd unit has already been completed on the interior. And in regards to parking, there is area in the back for 3 cars. And what else do I need to address?
So did you do the interior renovations to the 3rd floor, or were they existing?
They were existing when I purchased it. The seller had done the renovations and said it was a triplex. And then when after the close of sale, and I found out that wasn't the case, he said, okay, he'd go ahead and get the permits and have it all changed over. Well, that lasted for like 30 days and he won't take my calls now. So I'm trying to pick up the loose ends here. Hopefully get it approved so I can move forward with this.
Are there existing utility meters for gas and electric for the 3rd floor?
No, there aren't.
So there are no separate meters for the 3rd floor.
No, that's the issue. If I get the approval today, then the utility company will come in and add the third meter. They wouldn't add the third meter. This is my understanding. They wouldn't add the third meter because it was not approved as a triplex.
Right.
If we are approved, then they will add the third meter.
And at this point, the stairwell that runs through all 3 units is the only existing egress for the 3rd floor?
That's correct. That's why I would need to go in and add an exterior door and an exterior staircase.
To the rear of the building?
Yes.
Okay, tell me about the parking. Is it hard surface? Is it concrete?
I've seen the property once and only on the outside, but as I recall, it's the continuation of the driveway. So it might be concrete, it might be some other type of surface you use. I'm from the West Coast, so I'm not really familiar with what type of surfaces you use, but it could have even been something similar to asphalt.
Ms. LaSalle, do you own other properties in Cleveland?
Say it again, please.
Do you own other properties in Cleveland, Ohio?
I do. I own 3 other properties. However, I've seen them once from the exterior only.
Thank you. Can't tell, he doesn't have a picture of it.
We're trying to see an area.
Yeah.
Yeah, do we know what
Trying to
that
see what's
parking
in the
situation is?
Is that question?
No, I'm sorry, directing that to our city planner. Thank you.
Oh, okay.
May I also add another question? It's related to the variances to city planning. In section 337.03, when they list the items, number 3 says there will be no exterior evidence that a remodeled dwelling house is occupied by more than 2 families. So,
The addition of an exterior stairwell would be outside, would be evidence.
So that's my question. Is that then permissible? I mean, obviously, there needs to be more than one egress and egress.
But the rest of that clause reads, except such as may be permitted by the board.
Well, but I'm back to asking the question. I mean, that's up to us, but if we said no, it still renders it not usable.
That's correct.
Correct.
Well,
Further question, Ms. Brown?
it's not a question, it's a statement, and I'm getting ready to have like a repeat kind of conversation, like with the multiple
Yes.
group homes. In this case, we're now seeing more properties being sold as a threeplex.
That aren't legal
That
threeplex.
were never legal that way.
Right.
And we're finding ourselves, when the new owner comes with a hardship, listening to their case.
Exactly.
But it's because somebody tried to get more money out of selling the house, said that there were more dwelling units. And that's not a position we should find ourselves in.
Right.
So it's a complaint, not a question.
Understood.
Thank you.
All right. City planning, comment?
Oh, I have another question of Ms. LaSalle. Sorry. How do you manage your properties from afar?
I have a property management group.
That are
I just-
local?
They're local, and actually, I had a really bad experience with the management group that was handling this unit, and I recently, effective March 1st, changed to a different management group that is very local. They were born and raised in Cleveland, and the whole family is involved. So hopefully I'll have a good experience this time.
Ms. LaSalle, is that third floor unit occupied? Was it occupied when you purchased the building? And
No.
is it occupied now?
No to both of those. The seller had just gone in and done a rehab on the whole triplex, duplex, whatever. And it had not been occupied up to that point, and I purchased it in May. And it can't be occupied because of the gas meter issue. I
Right.
can't even get gas to the first 2 units that are legal. So I've had nothing since May 1 on that unit.
So the first and second floor are not occupied either then?
No,
Okay.
no,
And the gas company's telling you that you can't, they have separate meters, correct? The first and the
they
second
have,
floor?
right, they have separate meters, but the house will have to be rewired because the seller had it wired for a triplex. And until it's approved as a triplex, the utility company will not add the third meter.
Right.
And to go back to a duplex, the wiring has to be torn out and redone. I've
Okay.
had electricians out there. It's going to be close to 12,000 just to put it back so I can have.
So the electrical has separate meters for the first and second floor, correct?
Yes, they do.
Okay. All right, okay. Mr. Bay?
Hello, it's Xavier Bay, representing city planning. I just wanted to state that there is a requirement that a certificate of disclosure be pulled from the records administration and building housing. This occurs when there's a transfer of real estate through the appraisers or title company. It's surprising to hear that previously with this transaction.
We can't hear him, unfortunately.
Sorry.
Okay. Mr. Bay?
Yep. So just repeating what I stated, just for the record, that a certificate of disclosure is required through the records administration of building and housing when the transfer of real estate is done, you typically through appraisers or the title company. So that step should have happened prior to this hearing. Just wanted to state that for the record. And so for this use along Harvard Avenue is contextual with the local retail and the business districts that are mixed within the residential. We don't see an issue with the use as 3-family, 2-family district. There are concerns of the square footage of these units. Mainly that the third unit is going to be minimal of 487 square feet. It's very difficult in a living circumstance. But that's all I have to say about this case.
Okay, any other questions or comments, board?
I guess I'm Madam Chair. I'm still looking for clarification on the egress issue, whereby the appellant testified she needs this outdoor door and egress, and she's asking for a variance for that, but she needs that to get to the third floor no matter what. So can we even grant a variance for that?
No, ma'am, Ms. Broca, there's one for the interior.
Okay, so the interior stairs go all the way up to the third floor.
Looks like it from the floor plan.
So the person living on the third floor is gonna have to go into the other units to get in and out of the house?
Not if it is a triplex. If I don't get the approval, then we'll just have to reconfigure that and make that a third bedroom to the second floor.
So Ms. Roca, the stairwell is a dedicated stairwell
Okay,
It's
on the interior.
on the interior, okay.
Right.
So I guess I
So
just,
I believe that's at the back, isn't it?
It is at the back.
so did they have a separate entrance somewhere, or they just go, everyone goes in the same door, like,
And
to
then,
get to the stairwell?
yeah,
Correct.
If she gets experience.
so that they have a way, if it's blocked, they have a way out.
Shannon,
Yeah, so it's a rear internal stairwell.
they need another
That
stair
is-
that's separate away from that.
It's a rear internal stairwell that is, each of those units have a door from the rear. So the stairwell is kind of like a hallway, with a foyer.
Right.
I can't answer building those issues.
But if she has to, if we approve this, we're allowing it to happen in the rear.
Yes.
Right, that's what I'm trying to figure out. If we approve this variance, then these plans stay the same, and the only ingress and egress for the third floor is through this interior stairwell, is that correct?
Madam Chair, building codes will be reviewed as well.
Right.
There is a Board of Building Standards that they would have to go through if there is a building code issue.
What that is referencing is if there were to be an exterior stairwell on the rear of the property or the side lot of the property, there was room between like the house and the driveway. That's what that section of 337.03C is referencing and saying that you all have the ability to grant like an additional, being able to see the exterior egress
We can grant an exterior stairwell
as a condition.
as a condition. And we're not here to do building code, but, the interior stairwell is to the rear of the building. So the exterior stairwell would also be at the rear of the building, which would not meet building code. Right. So if we approve the exterior stairwell, it very likely would have to be somewhere else besides at the rear.
Okay, thank you, that does help. Are we seeking that type, is the appellant seeking a condition or for that exterior stairwell?
I am seeking to be approved as, to have the property approved for 3 units. And with that, I would have to provide egress and a stairwell.
And I would be willing to support that if it's in the rear.
What? Oh, back to the legal standard?
Oh, it's right here. There's no exterior. Except as may be permitted by the board.
Well, I'm willing to put it wherever you say.
Yeah. You ready for a motion? Yeah, we're gonna have to. But we can't rule on building code, but you can't have two stairs together.
We could just say it has to be positioned for the plate.
Yeah, do it that way.
But not in the front.
I would condition that you're going to do it so that it's, whatever the ingress egress is required, building and housing, but with the condition that it not be in the front.
There you go.
I could support that.
Okay,
We didn't hear that.
all right.
Do we repeat it?
And repeat it for Ms. Roca, please.
Ms. Roca, Shannon Leonard. My recommendation would be, if you're going to do it, is to, you can say that to work with building and housing to require the appropriate ingress and egress as required for a third unit, but with the condition from the board as to not allow that side, the stairwell to be in the front yard or seen from the street.
At the front of the building.
Front of the building.
Are you
Okay.
correct, Ms. Wilson?
I can.
Okay.
I just have one just kind of secondary question to that. Thank you, Ms. Leonard. But if the appellant worked with building and housing, they could also not do the exterior stairwell and just have the interior stairwell too. They would still be okay to do that.
I'm not gonna answer that. I'll let building and housing answer whether they need it interiors. I mean, there are units across the city that have interior stairwells only as long as they're separated from the units itself. The key of that provision is like, you wouldn't wanna go into the second story, the person on the second story's home to get out of the building. You have your own individual, doesn't have to go through a private residence.
So this is a dedicated stairwell, and so we're gonna,
Leave it up to building and housing.
yeah, we can't go beyond our purview into building and housing issues, so we have to word it that way.
Right. I just for the purposes of the motion, I was trying to, but if Ms. Wilson is taking it, go right ahead.
We'll let Ms. Wilson craft this one.
Questions. Okay, Madam Chair, I would move to approve calendar number 24-06. Based on the testimony that we've heard, we would also move to approve the special permit with the condition that there's an installation of ingress and egress that is not seen from the front exterior of the building, and that is also in compliance with the building and housing codes that are applicable.
Well done, Ms. Wilson. Could I have a second?
Member Brown, I second.
Ms. Brown seconds. We'll call the vote, please, Ms. Kukla.
Ms. Holzer?
Yes.
Ms. Roca?
Yes.
Ms. Brown?
Yes.
Ms. Wilson?
Yes.
Ms. Bates?
Yes.
Calendar number 24-026 is granted. It'll be ratified next Monday, and we will send the appellant a letter. Please feel free to contact our office next Wednesday for further instruction.
Thank you so much for your time and for your vote. I can finally move forward with this. Thank you.
You can, Ms. LaSalle. Good luck to you.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you. All right.
Bye.
Bye. We are down to 24-030. Ms. Holster?
Which I believe is our last case.
I think so.
All right, our final case is calendar number 24-030. This is at 13809 Clifford Avenue. Byron Nogueras, owner, proposes to install a 6-foot-high wood fence in an A1 one-family residential district. The applicant appeals for relief from the strict application of the Cleveland Codified Ordinances as stated in the agenda and the public record, of which there is one. And with that, I will hand it over to Ms. Wilson for the oath.
Thank you, Ms. Holzer. I will swear in all who are present for this case. Is there anyone online present? There you are. Oh, there you are. Perfect. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give is the whole truth and nothing but the truth? Please raise your right hand. Reply with I do, your name and your address.
Yes, I do. Byron Nogueras. My address is 13809 Clifford Avenue, Cleveland, Ohio.
Thank you. Is there anyone else online wishing to speak in this matter? All right, hearing none, back to you, Madam Chair.
Thank you so much. History of the property, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. There's been no change in the zoning since 1929. We didn't find any information in our records administration office where there are no variances on file, and the only thing we found in the more recent history is that there was a violation notice issued in January of this year regarding erecting a fence and gate without a permit. That's all that I have. Thank you.
Okay. Legal standard, please.
Madam Chair, members of the Board of Health is requesting an area variance from the fencing requirements of the zoning code. To obtain the area variance, the appellant must prove that denying the request will create practical difficulty not generally shared by other land or buildings in the same district, will deprive the appellant of substantial property rights, and the granting variance will not be contrary to the purpose and intent of the zoning.
Thank you very much. All right, do we have a plan view? Okay. So the fence is already up.
Yeah.
All right. All right, tell us about the fence situation, sir.
Yes, I bought the house on, I believe it's September 2020. And then the next year for April 2021, I believe, I bought that fence. I'm the first time owner. I really didn't know that I had to do all the actual permits before I built. And the reason why I did it is because the house only has two doors, one on the front that you can see and one on the side. And I have two dogs. There's a big dog, Great Dane, and that's why I wanted I built it like that, because that way I can keep the doors on the backyards using my sideboard, and they don't have access to go to the street.
Okay, any questions for it? Does the fence go all the way around the perimeter of the property, sir?
I just connect with the old fence. It was there before on the back. No, I can see it from
What's
there.
what's the side yard situation there? Mr. Bay, how much are they on the property line?
They're going along their property line, along the side yard here, along the driveway.
So they're he's right on the property line on that side yard?
Correct. I believe the distance between these listed right here, 1 foot 10 inches from the structure.
Even without the fence, that's tight. What's the total distance then?
Sorry, I'm sure you mean the total distance of the fence.
From the neighbor's house to his driveway without the fence in there?
It doesn't look like that dimension is listed. I would refer to that. Yeah.
Sir, what's the distance between your neighbor's house and your driveway?
The driveway.
Sorry. Go ahead. Sorry, Siri was trying to butt in. Go ahead, sir.
From my neighbor house and the driveway is like 2 feet, 3 feet. But and from the fence on the house is like 1 feet and 4 inches. That's the yellow part over here.
Okay. Is there a reason why you didn't put the gate at the rear of your house or behind your door?
There's a you mean the on the front or on the back?
Well, where the fence is at the very front of your house, is there a reason why you didn't move it further back?
Yeah, because I use the side door to for my dogs. I put the dogs in the backyard, so I just open the door and put them in the backyard.
Uh-huh.
So that's why it's on the front, because the side door is like on the backyard.
So
You know?
you could have put it in front of the back door or in front of the side door. But instead you put it all the way to the front of the house.
I don't have a back door, that's why.
Well, I
I
mean, the
use
side.
Is there room for a post? I mean, that's the question.
Yeah. There's a tight squeeze. All right, other questions or comments, board?
No, Madam Chair, my question was the same as yours. Why wasn't the fence moved back to cover the side door, but moved back closer to the side door instead of
right
at the front of the property?
Does the concrete go all the way to the house, or is there some area for putting a post, sir? In your driveway on your side?
That's why.
Yeah, it's concrete.
Xavier, can you go back to that the front actual photograph? Because I think that'll answer our question. The post is.
Outside, in front of
Yeah,
the house.
that's why.
Yeah.
He would have had to bolt it into the house itself. All right, city planning, you want to chime in on this, please?
Yes, Xavier Bates, representing city planning. We actually recommend that the applicant start the fence right at the rear of the house to allow any type of access that the neighbor might need, either if they're doing renovations on their siding or simply to maintain the side yard. We recommend the neighbor actually start the fence in the back. I understand that you mainly created the fence for your dogs, but we would ask that you just walk your dogs through the back door that was in the back of the house, really to allow your neighbor to do any type of maintenance that they need on that side of their house.
Yeah, what's that dimension again? From the house to the neighbor's house to the fence?
You got listed 1 foot and 10 inches.
They can't get in there. Oh, you've done most of it.
Yeah, well, it's 1'10" is greater than 18 inches.
I'm surprised. Has your neighbor said anything to you?
No, before I build it, for sure I asked her, and she agreed with that. I mean, she have no windows on that side of the house, and
She does or does not have windows on
no,
that
she
side?
doesn't. She doesn't. She don't have any windows.
Well, Madam Chair, there is a violation notice that was read into the history.
Right.
And many times it's a neighbor who has.
Yeah.
Someone, but I cannot confirm it.
Someone filed a violation.
And Madam Chair, one more thing, for all of the years that I've been doing this, one of the issues is that the distance from the house is required to be the same height as the fence in case the fence falls down and it's damaged. It could possibly damage the neighbor's house.
Right.
It's one of the.
You moved it back there, it's going to be.
Exactly. But then he wouldn't be able to just let the dogs out. So, all right. I'll entertain a motion, board. This is seeking forgiveness rather than seeking approval, so.
Right, but I mean, it's also in our purview to add a condition that it be moved back.
Correct. Or denied.
Wasn't there an issue with the post location that Ms. Brown pointed out?
No, that's not the issue.
Well,
So
the post,
issue in the concrete replacing the.
That's why it can't go anywhere.
yeah, that's why it either has to go at the front or the back, or he would have to, use like deck bolts into the house. So he'd have to put up a ridge board and then bolt it into the side of the house to secure the post should he move it back in front of the side door. Yeah.
So if it was moved to the back, his back of his house and the neighbors are all aligned, then the fence is not next to the neighbor's house?
Correct. Do you want to say that louder? Or make a motion?
Well, that's not the motion, right? The motion
Right.
is for the variance. So we would define it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sir, we're having a problem that your fence is 6 feet tall and your neighbor wouldn't be able to get access to her or his or her home to paint or to fix the siding or to do any repairs that might be needed. And so if you moved your gate back to the edge of your house, then the 6 foot tall fence is not obstructing your neighbor's home. So your neighbor is willing to have it there?
She didn't say anything about it. I mean, I got the text message from them, and she said it was okay like that. They also put like garden rocks on that side, so there's no grass and anything on that side. She never say anything on those years.
Yeah, we don't have a statement from them on file though.
And we don't have a statement from them on file, and they might not always be the neighbors.
Correct.
That's a good point.
Correct.
I mean, we're talking about the future of these two homes, and whoever lives in that side home has no way of repairing their home.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, I'm ready to make a motion.
One moment, Ms. Kukla.
The mention of a letter, I do have a letter from the Development Corporation, Ms. Tony Jones.
Okay, we have a letter from the CDC.
Jefferson Puritas West Park CDC has reviewed this case and have spoken to the owner in regards to the appeal. We understand through conversation that the owner installed the fence and gate because of his dogs would recommend the gate post, they would recommend that the gate post located at the west side of the property be moved closer to the driveway in order to have full view of the house rather than having the fence block the view of existing downspout and part of the front of the house.
That's not even a condition with us. Sir, we want you to move the gate to the back of the house.
Okay. So there's no way I can keep it the side door for the back? Anything?
Only, what's the height? It would have to be a short fence.
Right, it would have, instead of being 6 feet, it would have to be 4.
So it can be 4?
Less than 4.
Right, it has to be the distance
right.
from the house.
It has to be the
height.
distance.
So if
Yeah, it would have, because of the distance between your neighbor, between your driveway to your neighbor's house, it would reduce the height of the fence to that distance.
to 4?
So therefore, you'd have a fence, you'd have a gate that would be appreciably, essentially, 1.5 feet high.
Okay.
Which
So
would
it-
serve your purpose for containing the dogs.
Okay, I got a question.
Was there a gate there when you moved in, or no gate?
There was a old one on the back. I mean, you got first
And that's why it was at the back. So
that's why it was at the back.
Mm.
All right, Ms. Roca, you want to take the motion on this? Are you ready?
Sure.
Okay.
Madam Chair, after hearing the testimony today, I move that we deny calendar number 24-030.
Could I have a second, please?
Member Brown, I second.
All right, Member Brown, second. Please call the vote.
Wilson,
Yes.
Coulter,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Roca,
Yes.
Faith.
Yes.
Calendar number 24-030 is denied. This decision will be ratified next Monday and we will send the appellant a letter.
All right, sir, you're gonna have to move the gate to the back of your house. I want you to know that we are very sensitive to your dogs, since some of us are dog parents. But unfortunately, in this situation, that takes a secondary placement to preserving the welfare of the neighbor's house and your house. Because a variance travels with the property throughout whoever owns it and
please-
whoever lives next door to you.
Please go to Building and Housing and get a permit.
Okay. So
Okay?
I cannot have the 4 feet fence, or I can.
No,
make-
because it has to, the gate is calculated based on the distance to your neighbor's house. So you'd end up with something that would be just slightly over a foot, which isn't gonna serve you any purpose.
Okay.
So you're gonna need to move it to the back, pull a permit from the building department. And as a dog parent, I would suggest that you get tethers for the dogs. All right? All right.
Madam Chair, just to be clear, it's the fence and the gate that need to be.
Yes, the gate and the fence.
Must be two.
Gotcha.
Okay? All right. Okay, that concludes our cases for today. Old business? Thank you. All right, we have, under old business, we have number 5, number 6, and number 10. Without objection, board?
Without objection.
Objection.
All right, we have a reinstatement request. Do you want to go over that?
Sure, Madam Chair, last week, you may remember, this case was on the agenda, calendar number 24-020 at 662 East 185th Street. They were requesting a tattooing used at this address. The appellant, there was some miscommunication. The appellant thought the case was being postponed. So once we contacted him, he requested a reinstatement.
Okay. All right. Without objection, board? All right.
And we'll get them back on the agenda, April 15th.
All right.
Unless you would like April 18th, or sorry, April 8th is also open.
You know what? Let's put him on April 8th, because I think he was, if I remember correctly, he had issue with getting in so he could start generating revenue.
Okay. Yes, no problem, April 8th then.
And what else did we have?
That is it. That's the extent of our old business.
Okay, that's it. All right, March 18th agenda went out. Did everyone have a chance to look at that? Anyone anticipating being absent? Anyone anticipating having to recuse? All right.
I will be absent in April, on one of the days, but I will send that out to the group now.
All right. Yeah, if you want to give Liz as much heads up as on that, that would be appreciated. And I think that's everything. We are adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
If you ladies have parking passes, I'll need to put them into the system.
Okay.
So we're supposed to bring them up now.
Oh, that's a problem I have. Do I
There you
get reimbursed?